Hare Krishna,
Hare Ram,
Hare
Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare,
Krishna,
Hare Krishna, Hare
Krishna
Krishna, Krishna
Krishna,
Krishna,
Hare
Hare
Hare.
Ram, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Hare
Krishna
Krishna,
Krishna,
Hare
Hare
Krishna,
Hare
Krishna Krishna,
Hare
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 Hare,
Ram, Hare Ram.
Hare Ram, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare,
Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Hare
Hare
Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna,
Hare
Krishna
Guna.
Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna
Krishna
Krishna,
Krishna,
Hare
Hare
Hare,
Hare
Hare
Rama.
Ram, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare,
Hare
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 Rama.
Ram.
Ram, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare,
Krishna
Hare
Hare
Krishna,
Rama
Hare
Rama.
Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare
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 Ram,
Guna.
Krishna,
Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare
Hare
Hare,
Krishna,
Hare
Hare
Krishna, Hare Krishna,
Krishna,
Krishna
Hare
Krishna, Hare Hare,
Hare Ram.
Hare Ram, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Hare
Hare
Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Hare Ram, Ram
Ram.
Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna,
Hare
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 Guna.
Hare Ram, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna,
Hare
Hare
Ram.
Krishna, Krishna
Krishna,
Krishna,
Hare
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 Hare Ram, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna,
Krishna
Hare
Krishna,
Krishna,
Hare
Krishna
Hare
Krishna,
Hare Ram.
Hare Ram, Hare Ram, Ram Ram,
Krishna,
Hare Hare, Hare Krishna,
Hare
Hare
Krishna
Krishna,
Krishna, Hare
Krishna Krishna, Hare Ram, Hare
Hare.
Ram, Ram Ram, Hare
Hare
Hare,
Ram.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare
Hare
Ram, Hare Ram, Ram Ram,
Hare
Hare
Krishna,
Hare,
Hare
Hare
Krishna,
Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare
Hare
Ram, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Hare
Ram.
Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare
Hare
Ram, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna,
Hare
Krishna
Ram.
Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare
Krishna,
Ram, Hare
Krishna,
Ram,
Hare
Ram Ram,
Hare
Hare Hare, Hare Krishna,
Hare
Hare
Guna.
Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna,
Hare
Krishna Hare
Krishna,
Hare,
Krishna, Hare
Hare
Hare.
Ram, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare,
Hare
Hare Ram, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare,
Hare
Hare
Rama,
Ram,
Hare
Hare
Ram.
Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna
Hare
Krishna,
Guna.
Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare,
Hare
Hare
Ram.
Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare,
Hare
Hare
Guna.
Ram,
Hare
Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna,
Hare Ram.
Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna
Hare
Krishna,
Rama,
Hare
Hare
Hare,
Ram.
Hare Ram, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare,
Hare
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna,
Ram.
Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna,
Hare
Hare
Ram.
Hare, Hare Ram, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare
Hare
Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare
Ram.
Ram, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare,
Hare
Hare
Rama,
Ram, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna,
Hare Ram.
Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna,
Hare Ram.
Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna
Krishna,
Hare Hare,
Hare Ram.
Hare Ram, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare,
Hare
Hare Ram, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna,
Hare
Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare,
Hare Ram.
Hare Ram, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna,
Krishna, Krishna,
Hare
Hare Hare Rama, Hare
Hare
Rama,
Hare, Hare Ram, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare,
Hare
Hare Ram, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna,
Hare Ram.
Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare,
Hare
Hare
Ram.
Ram, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna,
Hare
Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare
Hare
Hare,
Ram.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare,
Hare
Hare Ram, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna,
Krishna, Hare Hare,
Hare Ram.
Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna,
Hare Ram.
Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Hare
Hare
Krishna,
Ram.
Hare
Krishna
Krishna,
Hare
Hare
Hare,
Krishna,
Hare
Hare
Ram, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare,
Hare
Hare
Ram.
Ram, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna,
Hare
Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna,
Ram.
Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare Hare Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Ram Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Ram Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Ram Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Ram Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Ram Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Ram Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Ram Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare Hare Ram Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Ram Hare 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 Krishna Hare Hare Ram Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Ram Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Ram Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare
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 Hare Hare Ram
Hare
Hare
Ram Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare Hare Hare
Hare
Ram Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Ram Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Ram Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Ram Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Ram Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Ram Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Ram Hare 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 Krishna Hare 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 Ram Hare 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 Krishna Hare 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 Ram Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Ram Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare Ram Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Ram Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Ram Hare 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 Krishna
Hare
Krishna
Hare
Hare Hare
Ram
Hare Ram Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Ram Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Ram Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Ram Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare Hare Ram Hare 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 Krishna
Hare
Krishna
Krishna
Hare
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 Krishna
Ram
Krishna
Hare
Hare
Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Ram Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Ram Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Ram Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Ram Hare 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 Krishna Hare 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 Ram Hare 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 Krishna Krishna
Krishna Krishna Krishna
Hare
Hare Hare Hare Ram 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 Hare Hare
Hare
Hare
Ram
Krishna Hare Krishna
Hare
Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare Ram 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 Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare Ram 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare Hare Ram 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 Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare Hare Krishna Krishna Hare Hare Ram 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 Hare Hare
Ram Ram Ram
Hare
Hare
Ram,
Hare
Hare
Krishna
Ram,
Hare Krishna Krishna Hare Hare Hare
Hare
Ram
Hare
Ram, Ram Ram
Hare
Ram, Hare
Krishna
Hare
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 Krishna, Hare Krishna,
Krishna
Hare
Krishna
Ram,
Hare
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 Hare, Hare
Hare
Ram, Ram Ram Ram,
Hare
Hare
Krishna
Krishna.
Hare
Hare Krishna Krishna Hare Hare
Hare Krishna,
Hare Ram
Hare
Hare Ram
Krishna,
Ram Ram
Krishna
Hare
Krishna,
Hare Hare
Krishna
Krishna
Hare
Krishna
Hare,
Hare Hare
Ram Ram Ram
Hare
Ram, Hare
Hare
Hare.
Ram 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 Hare 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 Krishna Hare
Hare
Krishna
Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Ram 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 Ram, Hare Hare.
Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare Hare
Ram 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 Ram, Hare Hare, Hare
Hare
Krishna,
Ram
Hare
Ram Ram Hare Hare
Hare,
Hare Krishna
Ram 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 Ram, Hare Hare.
Hare Ram Ram Hare Hare
Hare
Hare
Krishna,
Krishna
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare.
Hare Ram Hare Hare
Ram Ram
Hare
Ram
Krishna
Ram, Hare
Krishna
Hare,
Krishna
Hare
Hare
Krishna,
Ram
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Ram Ram Ram
Krishna
Ram, Hare
Krishna
Hare.
Hare Hare Ram Hare
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 Ram,
Hare Krishna Krishna
Hare Krishna,
Hare Ram
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Ram 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 Ram, Hare Hare.
Hare Ram,
Hare Krishna 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 Hare
Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Ram 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 Ram,
Hare
Hare
Ram,
Hare
Hare.
Krishna 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 Hare Hare Ram Hare Hare
Ram 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 Ram,
Hare
Hare
Ram,
Krishna
Hare,
Krishna
Hare
Hare
Krishna,
Hare
Hare
Ram Hare Hare
Hare
Krishna Hare
Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Ram 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 Ram, Hare Hare.
Hare
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare
Hare
Hare.
Krishna
Ram
Hare
Ram
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 Ram,
Ram
Hare
Ram
Hare,
Hare
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 Ram,
Krishna Hare Krishna Krishna Hare
Krishna Krishna,
Hare
Hare
Ram
Hare, Ram Ram
Ram
Ram
Ram
Ram,
Ram
Hare
Hare
Hare.
Krishna Krishna Krishna
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna
Ram 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 Ram, Hare Hare, Hare
Ram
Krishna,
Ram
Hare
Ram
Krishna.
Hare Krishna Hare
Hare
Krishna
Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Ram
Hare
Ram Ram Ram,
Hare
Hare Hare,
Hare
Hare
Krishna
Krishna,
Hare
Hare
Krishna
Krishna,
Krishna
Krishna,
Krishna
Hare Hare.
Hare
Ram,
Ram
Hare
Ram Ram
Krishna
Ram, Hare
Hare
Hare,
Krishna
Hare Krishna,
Hare
Hare
Ram,
Krishna, Krishna,
Hare
Hare Hare.
Ram Hare Hare
Hare Ram,
Ram 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 Ram, Hare Hare, Hare
Hare
Krishna,
Ram Hare Hare
Krishna, Hare Hare, Ram 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 Ram,
Hare
Hare Hare.
Hare
Hare Krishna, Hare
Hare
Krishna,
Ram, Hare Ram,
Krishna, Hare Hare. Ram 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 Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare
Hare Ram, Hare Ram,
Krishna, Krishna,
Hare
Hare Hare, Ram 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 Ram, Hare Hare.
Hare Ram,
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna,
Hare
Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Ram 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 Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna.
Hare
Hare Hare Hare Krishna Hare Krishna
Hare
Krishna
Ram,
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Ram 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 Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Ram 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 Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare.
Hare Ram,
Ram 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 Ram, Hare Hare, Hare
Hare
Hare Hare.
Hare Ram,
Ram 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 Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Ram Ram Ram
Hare
Ram,
Ram,
Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare.
Hare
Ram
Ram,
Ram Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare
Hare
Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare.
Hare
Ram
Ram,
Ram Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna,
Hare
Krishna Hare Hare. Ram 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 Ram, Hare Hare.
Hare Ram,
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna,
Hare
Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Ram Ram Ram
Hare
Ram,
Ram,
Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna.
Hare
Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Ram 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 Ram, Hare Hare.
Hare Ram,
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Ram 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 Ram, Hare Hare,
Hare
Hare
Ram,
Krishna, Hare
Hare
Ram
Hare
Ram Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna,
Hare
Krishna
Ram,
Krishna, Hare Hare. Ram 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 Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna.
Hare Ram,
Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Ram 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 Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Ram 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 Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Ram 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 Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare. Ram 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 Ram, Hare Hare. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Sivasadi Gaura Bhaktapani. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Ram 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 Ram, Hare Hare.
Hare
Krishna
Hare
Krishna Hare Hare
Hare
Ram
Krishna
Ram Ram
Krishna
Ram Hare Hare
Krishna
Hare
Hare
Krishna
Hare
Hare
Ram
Krishna
Ram
Krishna
Hare
Krishna
Krishna
Hare Hare
Hare
Ram
Hare
Ram 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 Hare 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 Krishna
Hare Krishna
Hare Krishna,
Krishna
Krishna
Hare
Krishna
Krishna
Krishna,
Krishna
Hare
Krishna
Hare
Krishna
Krishna,
Ram
Hare
Ram
Hare,
Ram Ram
Krishna
Hare Hare
Hare
Hare
Hare,
Hare
Krishna
Krishna
Krishna,
Hare
Hare
Krishna
Hare
Krishna
Ram,
Krishna
Ram
Hare
Ram,
Hare
Ram Ram, Hare Krishna,
Ram
Hare
Ram
Krishna,
Ram Ram Hare Hare
Hare Ram, Hare
Hare
Ram, Ram Ram,
Hare
Hare Hare Krishna, Hare
Krishna
Krishna,
Krishna Hare Hare Ram 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 Hare Hare
Hare Krishna
Hare
Krishna
Ram,
Krishna
Hare
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 Ram,
Hare
Krishna Hare Krishna
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 Krishna Hare Hare
Hare
Hare
Ram
Krishna
Ram
Krishna
Ram
Krishna
Ram Hare 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 Krishna Hare
Hare Ram, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare Krishna,
Ram 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 Hare
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 Ram,
Hare
Hare Ram,
Krishna
Ram
Hare
Ram,
Krishna Krishna
Hare
Krishna
Hare,
Hare Hare
Hare
Ram 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 Hare Hare Krishna Hare
Hare Ram, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna,
Hare Krishna Hare Krishna
Hare
Krishna
Ram, Hare
Krishna
Ram,
Hare
Ram
Hare
Ram, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna,
Ram 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 Hare
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 Ram, Hare
Hare
Ram, Ram
Krishna
Ram,
Hare
Hare Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Hare
Ram
Ram, Hare
Ram
Ram,
Ram
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 Ram,
Hare
Krishna Hare Krishna Krishna
Hare Krishna Hare
Hare
Krishna
Ram, Hare
Krishna
Ram, Ram
Krishna
Ram,
Hare
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 Krishna,
Ram 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 Hare Hare
Hare
Krishna
Ram, Hare
Hare
Ram,
Krishna
Hare
Krishna
Hare
Krishna
Hare
Hare
Krishna,
Rama
Hare
Hare
Ram
Krishna,
Ram 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 Hare Hare
Hare Ram, Hare
Hare
Ram,
Krishna
Ram Ram,
Hare
Hare
Krishna
Krishna,
Krishna
Hare
Krishna
Krishna,
Hare Hare Ram
Krishna
Ram
Hare
Ram Ram
Ram,
Hare
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 Ram,
Hare
Ram Ram,
Krishna
Hare
Hare
Hare Krishna, Hare
Krishna Krishna Hare Hare Ram 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 Hare Hare Krishna
Hare
Hare
Krishna
Krishna
Hare
Krishna Krishna Hare
Hare
Ram 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 Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare Ram 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 Hare Hare
Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram,
Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare
Hare
Krishna,
Rama
Hare Hare, Hare
Ram 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 Hare Hare
Krishna, Hare
Hare
Krishna,
Hare Hare
Hare Ram, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare
Krishna
Hare,
Krishna Hare Hare
Krishna Krishna Hare Hare Ram Ram
Hare
Ram Ram
Rama
Hare Hare
Hare Ram, Ram Ram,
Hare Krishna Hare
Hare
Krishna
Krishna,
Krishna
Hare
Krishna
Krishna,
Hare Hare
Krishna, Hare Hare,
Ram 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 Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna
Hare
Krishna
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 Hare
Hare
Krishna
Hare Ram 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 Hare Hare
Hare
Hare Krishna
Hare,
Hare
Hare
Krishna
Ram, Hare Ram,
Hare
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 Rama
Hare
Hare,
Ram 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 Hare Hare
Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare
Hare
Ram,
Krishna Hare Krishna Krishna Krishna
Hare
Hare Hare
Krishna Hare
Krishna, Krishna,
Ram
Hare Hare,
Ram 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 Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare Ram Ram
Hare
Ram
Ram,
Ram
Hare
Hare
Ram,
Hare
Ram Ram, Hare Hare,
Hare Krishna
Hare Krishna Hare Krishna Krishna
Hare
Krishna
Ram,
Hare Hare Ram 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 Hare Hare Hare
Hare
Krishna
Ram, Hare
Hare
Ram,
Krishna
Ram
Krishna
Hare
Krishna
Krishna,
Hare Hare Ram 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 Hare Hare
Hare Ram, Hare Ram, Ram
Hare
Ram,
Krishna
Hare
Hare
Hare,
Krishna 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 Hare Hare
Hare Hare,
Ram 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 Hare Hare
Hare
Hare
Rama
Ram,
Krishna
Hare Ram,
Krishna Krishna Hare Hare Ram 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 Hare Hare
Ram Hare Hare,
Hare Krishna
Hare
Krishna
Ram, Hare
Krishna
Ram,
Hare Hare
Hare Hare,
Ram 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 Hare Hare
Hare
Hare
Ram,
Krishna
Hare
Hare
Ram,
Krishna
Ram
Hare
Ram,
Krishna
Hare
Krishna
Hare,
Hare Hare
Ram Ram Hare Krishna Krishna
Ram Ram Ram
Hare
Ram Hare
Krishna,
Hare
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 Krishna,
Krishna
Hare
Hare
Krishna,
Krishna 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 Hare Hare Ram 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 Hare Hare
Krishna, Krishna, Hare
Hare
Hare,
Krishna
Hare Ram,
Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare Ram Ram Ram
Krishna,
Ram
Krishna,
Hare
Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare
Krishna Krishna Hare Hare Ram
Hare
Ram
Ram,
Ram
Ram Ram,
Ram
Hare
Hare Hare
Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna,
Hare Krishna Hare Krishna
Hare
Krishna
Ram, Hare
Krishna
Ram,
Hare
Ram
Hare
Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna,
Ram 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 Hare Hare Hare
Hare
Krishna
Ram, Hare
Hare
Ram,
Krishna
Ram
Krishna
Krishna
Ram,
Hare
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 Hare,
Hare
Hare Ram 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 Hare Hare
Hare Ram, Hare Ram, Ram Ram,
Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare
Hare Ram, Hare Ram, Ram
Ram
Ram, Hare Hare,
Ram Ram
Hare
Ram
Krishna,
Hare
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 Krishna,
Hare Krishna Hare Krishna
Hare Ram, Hare Ram, Ram
Krishna
Ram, Hare
Krishna
Krishna,
Hare Hare Ram 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 Hare Hare
Hare Ram, Hare Ram, Ram
Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare Ram
Hare
Ram Ram
Ram,
Ram
Hare
Hare
Ram,
Hare
Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna,
Krishna Krishna Hare Hare Ram 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 Hare Hare Krishna
Krishna, Hare
Hare
Hare, Hare Ram,
Hare
Hare
Rama
Ram,
Krishna Krishna Hare Hare Ram 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 Hare Hare
Hare Ram, Hare Ram, Ram
Hare
Ram,
Krishna
Hare Hare,
Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare Ram
Hare
Ram
Ram,
Ram
Hare
Ram
Ram,
Hare
Hare Krishna, Hare
Hare
Krishna,
Krishna Hare
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna,
Krishna Krishna Hare Hare Ram Ram
Hare
Ram Ram
Krishna,
Hare
Krishna
Hare
Hare
Krishna,
Hare Krishna Hare
Hare
Krishna
Ram, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare,
Hare
Hare
Ram,
Krishna,
Ram 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 Ram
Hare
Hare
Ram, Hare
Hare
Ram,
Hare
Ram
Krishna
Ram,
Krishna,
Hare
Hare
Hare,
Hare
Hare
Krishna
Krishna,
Hare
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 Krishna,
Hare
Hare
Krishna
Ram, Hare Ram, Hare Hare,
Ram Ram Hare Hare Hare
Hare Ram, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare,
Hare
Hare
Ram,
Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna
Hare
Krishna,
Ram,
Hare
Hare
Hare,
Ram,
Hare
Ram
Ram, Hare
Ram,
Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Hare
Hare
Krishna,
Hare
Krishna
Krishna,
Krishna, Hare
Hare Krishna,
Hare,
Krishna
Hare
Krishna,
Ram,
Hare Hare.
Hare Ram, Ram Ram,
Hare
Hare
Ram,
Hare,
Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare
Hare
Hare,
Krishna,
Hare
Hare
Krishna,
Krishna,
Krishna
Krishna
Krishna,
Krishna,
Hare
Hare
Hare, Hare
Hare,
Ram, Ram Ram, Ram Hare Hare.
Ram Ram, Hare Hare,
Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita
Hare
Gadadhar
Krishna, Hare
Shivasadi
Krishna,
Gaura.
Krishna Hare Hare,
Hare Ram,
Ram Ram,
Hare Krishna,
Hare Hare,
Hare
Hare
Krishna, Krishna
Krishna,
Krishna,
Hare
Hare Hare,
Krishna,
Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Ram Hare Hare,
Hare
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 Krishna,
Ram,
Hare
Hare
Krishna,
Ram, Hare Hare,
Krishna
Hare
Krishna,
Krishna,
Hare
Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Ram Hare
Hare Ram, Hare
Hare
Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Hare
Hare Krishna,
Krishna, Hare
Hare Krishna,
Krishna,
Krishna
Hare
Krishna, Hare Hare.
Hare Ram,
Hare
Hare Ram,
Ram,
Ram
Ram
Ram,
Ram,
Hare
Ram
Hare,
Hare Hare, Hare Krishna,
Hare
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 Ram,
Krishna,
Krishna,
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare
Krishna
Hare,
Krishna,
Hare
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 Ram,
Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram,
Ram
Ram
Ram,
Hare Hare.
Hare Hare, Hare
Hare
Krishna,
Ram,
Krishna
Hare
Krishna,
Krishna,
Hare Hare,
Hare Krishna, Krishna
Hare
Krishna,
Ram,
Hare
Hare
Hare.
Ram, Hare Ram, Ram Ram,
Ram Ram, Ram
Hare
Ram
Ram,
Hare Hare,
Hare
Hare
Ram,
Hare, Hare Ram, Hare Ram, Ram
Krishna
Ram, Hare
Krishna,
Hare,
Hare
Hare
Hare,
Ram,
Hare Ram Ram, Ram Ram Hare Hare.
Hare
Hare Krishna,
Hare
Hare Krishna,
Ram, Hare
Krishna
Ram,
Krishna,
Ram
Hare
Ram,
Hare.
Hare
Ram,
Hare,
Hare
Hare Krishna,
Ram,
Hare
Ram
Krishna,
Ram, Ram Hare
Hare
Hare,
Hare,
Hare
Hare Ram,
Hare Hare,
Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram Ram, Ram Ram Hare Hare.
Hare
Hare
Krishna,
Krishna,
Hare
Hare
Krishna,
Krishna,
Krishna
Krishna
Krishna,
Krishna,
Hare
Hare Hare.
Hare, Hare Ram,
Hare
Hare
Ram,
Ram,
Ram Ram
Ram
Ram
Ram,
Hare Hare.
Hare Hare, Hare Krishna,
Hare Ram,
Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare
Hare
Ram
Ram,
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 Ram
Hare
Ram
Ram,
Hare Hare.
Ram Ram,
Hare
Hare
Ram,
Krishna,
Hare
Hare Krishna,
Krishna,
Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare.
Hare
Hare
Ram
Ram,
Ram,
Ram
Hare
Ram Ram
Ram,
Hare
Ram
Hare.
Ram, Hare
Krishna,
Hare,
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Hare
Krishna
Krishna,
Krishna,
Krishna
Hare
Krishna,
Hare, Hare
Hare
Ram,
Hare,
Ram
Hare
Ram Ram
Ram,
Hare Hare.
Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Hare
Ram
Krishna,
Ram
Hare
Ram Ram
Krishna,
Hare Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram
Hare
Ram
Ram,
Ram
Hare
Ram Hare
Ram,
Hare,
Ram
Hare
Ram,
Krishna.
Hare Hare,
Hare Ram,
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. Hare
Hare
Ram 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 Ram
Hare
Hare
Ram,
Hare,
Hare
Hare
Ram,
Krishna.
Ram Ram,
Hare
Hare
Krishna,
Hare,
Hare
Hare
Krishna, Krishna
Hare
Krishna.
Krishna,
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna,
Hare Krishna,
Hare
Hare
Ram,
Krishna,
Hare
Hare
Krishna
Ram,
Krishna,
Ram
Hare
Ram,
Hare.
Hare Hare,
Hare Ram Ram
Hare
Ram Ram
Ram,
Hare
Hare
Hare,
Ram, Hare
Hare
Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare,
Krishna.
Hare
Hare
Krishna,
Hare
Ram,
Ram,
Hare Ram,
Krishna
Ram
Krishna,
Ram, Hare
Hare
Hare,
Hare,
Hare
Hare
Ram,
Ram
Hare Ram,
Ram
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 Ram,
Ram
Hare
Hare
Hare,
Hare,
Hare
Hare
Krishna,
Krishna.
Hare
Hare
Krishna,
Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna
Krishna
Krishna,
Krishna,
Hare
Hare
Hare,
Hare,
Hare
Hare
Ram,
Ram
Hare Ram,
Ram 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 Hare Hare.
Ram Ram, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna,
Jai
Hare
Shri
Hare
Krishna,
Ram,
Krishna,
Hare
Krishna
Ram, Ram
Jai
Ram,
Krishna
Hare
Krishna
Ram,
Hare,
Hare
Ram
Hare.
Ram,
Krishna,
Hare
Hare
Ram,
Hare
Krishna, Krishna
Ram
Krishna,
Ram Ram
Hare
Ram
Hare,
Hare
Ram
Hare,
Ram,
Hare
Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Hare
Bas.
Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna
Krishna
Krishna,
Krishna,
Hare
Hare
Ram,
Hare,
Hare
Hare
Ram,
Ram
Ram Ram,
Ram
Hare
Ram
Hare,
Ram
Hare
Hare
Krishna,
Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna,
Hare
Hare
Ram,
Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna
Hare
Krishna
Ram,
Hare
Hare
Hare.
Krishna, Hare Krishna,
Ram 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 Hare
Hare
Hare,
Ram,
Krishna Hare Krishna.
Hare
Krishna
Hare
Krishna,
Krishna,
Hare Hare, Ram
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 Ram,
Ram
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 Ram,
Hare Hare.
Hare
Hare
Hare,
Ram,
Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna
Hare
Krishna,
Krishna, Hare
Hare
Krishna,
Hare
Hare
Ram,
Krishna,
Ram
Hare Krishna,
Hare
Krishna
Ram,
Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram 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 Hare
Hare
Hare.
Hare Ram, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna
Krishna
Krishna,
Hare
Krishna,
Ram,
Hare Hare, Hare Ram
Hare
Ram
Ram,
Ram
Hare
Ram
Ram,
Hare
Ram
Hare.
Ram,
Hare
Hare Hare, Krishna,
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare
Hare
Hare.
Ram, Hare Ram, Ram Ram,
Hare
Hare
Ram,
Hare,
Ram
Krishna,
Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Hare
Hare
Krishna.
Ram, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare
Krishna
Hare,
Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram Ram Ram, Hare Hare.
Hare Ram, Hare Ram, Ram Ram,
Hare
Hare
Krishna,
Hare,
Hare
Krishna, Hare
Krishna, Krishna
Krishna,
Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare,
Hare
Hare
Krishna,
Krishna
Hare
Krishna,
Krishna,
Hare
Hare
Krishna,
Hare,
Krishna, Hare
Hare
Krishna,
Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram Ram, Hare
Krishna,
Hare.
Krishna, Hare Hare,
Hare
Hare Ram,
Krishna,
Ram Ram,
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare,
Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare
Hare
Ram,
Ram,
Ram Ram,
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna
Hare
Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram
Hare
Ram,
Ram,
Hare
Hare
Hare.
Ram, Ram Ram,
Hare
Hare
Krishna,
Krishna,
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Krishna Krishna,
Hare
Hare Hare, Hare Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare
Hare
Krishna.
Ram, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare
Krishna Krishna,
Krishna,
Hare
Krishna,
Hare, Hare Ram, Hare Hare.
Hare Ram, Hare
Hare
Ram, Ram
Krishna,
Ram,
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Ram, Hare Hare, Hare
Hare
Krishna,
Krishna,
Hare
Hare
Krishna,
Krishna,
Krishna
Krishna
Krishna, Hare
Krishna,
Hare.
Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna,
Ram, Ram,
Krishna
Hare
Krishna,
Hare,
Hare
Hare
Hare, Hare
Krishna,
Krishna,
Ram
Hare
Ram
Hare
Krishna
Ram
Krishna
Ram 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 Hare
Krishna
Krishna Hare
Hare
Krishna
Ram Hare Ram Ram Ram
Hare
Hare Krishna
Ram 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 Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram
Hare
Ram Ram
Krishna
Ram Hare
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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram
Hare Krishna Hare Krishna
Hare
Krishna
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 Hare
Hare
Krishna
Hare Ram
Ram Ram Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna
Hare Krishna,
Krishna
Krishna
Krishna Hare Hare Ram
Krishna
Ram 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 Hare
Hare
Hare Krishna
Krishna,
Hare
Hare
Krishna
Krishna,
Krishna
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 Advaita Gadata
Ram 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 Hare Hare Hare
Hare
Krishna
Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna
Hare
Krishna,
Hare
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 Krishna Hare
Ram.
Krishna Krishna
Ram
Krishna,
Ram 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 Hare 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 Krishna Hare
Ram
Krishna
Ram
Krishna
Hare
Krishna
Hare
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 Hare Ram
Krishna
Ram
Hare
Ram
Krishna
Ram Hare
Hare
Krishna
Krishna,
Krishna
Hare
Hare
Krishna, Krishna Krishna,
Hare
Hare
Ram Hare Ram 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 Hare Hare
Hare Krishna 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 Hare
Hare
Hare Ram
Krishna Hare
Ram Ram
Krishna
Ram Hare
Krishna
Hare
Krishna
Krishna
Hare
Hare
Hare Ram Hare
Hare
Ram
Krishna,
Ram
Hare
Krishna
Ram
Krishna,
Hare
Krishna
Krishna
Hare
Krishna,
Hare
Hare
Hare Ram Ram Ram
Hare
Ram Hare
Krishna
Hare
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 Krishna
Hare
Krishna
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 Hare
Hare
Krishna Krishna Krishna
Ram.
Hare
Ram Ram Hare Hare
Ram
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 Hare
Ram
Krishna,
Ram
Krishna
Hare
Hare
Krishna
Krishna,
Hare
Krishna
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 Krishna,
Hare
Hare Hare Ram, Hare Ram.
Hare Ram Hare Ram Ram
Hare
Ram
Krishna,
Hare
Hare
Ram 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 Hare Hare
Ram,
Krishna
Hare Ram.
Hare Krishna
Krishna
Krishna Krishna
Krishna
Hare
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 Ram
Hare
Ram
Krishna,
Ram Ram
Hare
Hare
Krishna,
Hare
Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna
Hare
Krishna
Krishna
Hare
Hare
Krishna
Krishna
Ram 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 Hare Hare Hare
Ram
Krishna
Ram
Hare
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 Krishna
Krishna,
Krishna
Hare
Hare
Krishna,
Krishna
Hare
Krishna
Hare
Hare
Hare Ram, Hare Ram.
Ram 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 Ram
Hare
Hare
Ram
Hare
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 Ram Ram
Hare
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 Ram.
Hare Krishna Hare Krishna Krishna Krishna
Ram 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 Hare
Krishna,
Hare Hare Krishna Hare
Ram
Krishna
Ram Hare
Krishna Hare
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 Ram
Krishna Hare
Ram Ram
Krishna
Ram
Hare
Hare
Krishna,
Hare
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna,
Hare
Hare
Ram
Hare
Ram
Krishna
Ram
Hare
Ram
Krishna
Ram
Krishna Krishna Hare Hare
Hare.
Ram
Hare
Ram Ram
Ram,
Hare
Ram Hare
Krishna
Hare
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 Krishna
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 Hare
Krishna
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 Krishna,
Hare Hare Ram
Hare
Hare
Ram,
Ram
Hare Ram,
Hare
Hare
Krishna
Krishna
Hare
Hare Krishna Krishna
Hare Ram,
Krishna
Hare
Hare
Ram,
Hare Hare Ram Hare
Hare
Krishna
Ram
Krishna
Ram Hare
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 Hare Ram 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 Ram
Hare
Hare
Krishna Hare Krishna Krishna Krishna
Hare
Hare
Krishna Hare Krishna
Hare
Krishna
Ram
Krishna
Hare
Hare
Ram
Hare
Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna Krishna
Hare Krishna Hare Krishna
Hare
Krishna
Ram Hare
Krishna
Ram
Hare
Ram Ram Hare Hare
Ram 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 Ram
Hare
Hare Hare
Krishna
Hare
Hare
Krishna
Krishna
Hare Krishna
Krishna Krishna Hare Hare
Krishna
Hare Ram
Krishna Hare 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 Ram
Ram
Ram Ram
Ram
Ram Hare
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 Hare Krishna
Hare
Hare
Krishna
Krishna
Hare
Krishna
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 Krishna Hare Hare
Hare
Ram
Ram Hare
Ram Ram
Ram
Ram
Ram
Hare
Ram Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna Krishna
Krishna Krishna Hare Hare Hare
Hare
Ram
Ram Hare
Ram
Krishna,
Ram
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 Hare
Ram Hare
Krishna,
Hare
Hare
Krishna
Krishna
Krishna, Hare
Krishna
Hare
Krishna
Ram,
Hare
Krishna
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 Hare
Krishna
Krishna Krishna
Krishna,
Hare
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 Ram
Ram
Hare
Ram
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 Ram,
Ram Hare 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 Krishna
Hare
Hare
Krishna
Krishna
Hare
Hare
Krishna
Krishna,
Krishna
Hare
Krishna
Krishna,
Hare
Krishna,
Hare
Hare Ram Hare Ram 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 Hare 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 Krishna
Hare
Hare Krishna Krishna
Hare
Krishna
Ram 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 Hare
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 Ram Hare
Krishna
Ram Ram
Hare
Ram
Krishna
Hare Hare
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna,
Hare
Hare
Krishna
Ram,
Hare Krishna Krishna Krishna
Hare
Hare
Krishna
Hare Ram
Hare Krishna Krishna
Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna
Ram
Krishna
Ram
Krishna
Ram Ram
Hare
Hare
Krishna,
Hare
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 Krishna,
Ram Hare Ram Ram
Hare
Ram
Ram,
Hare Hare
Hare Krishna
Hare
Hare Krishna
Krishna Hare
Krishna
Krishna
Krishna Hare
Krishna
Hare
Krishna Hare 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 Ram
Hare Krishna, Hare
Ram
Krishna,
Ram Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare
Hare Krishna Hare Krishna Krishna
Hare
Krishna
Ram 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare Hare Ram Hare Ram Ram Ram
Hare
Hare
Krishna
Hare
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 Krishna
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 Hare
Krishna Hare
Krishna
Hare
Krishna
Ram 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 Hare Hare
Hare Krishna, Hare
Ram
Krishna,
Ram Hare Hare Hare
Krishna
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 Hare
Hare
Krishna
Hare
Krishna
Ram
Krishna
Ram 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 Hare Hare
Hare Ram Hare
Hare
Ram Ram
Krishna
Ram
Hare
Hare
Krishna
Hare
Krishna Krishna Hare
Hare
Hare Ram
Krishna
Ram
Hare
Hare
Ram
Krishna,
Ram
Krishna
Hare
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 Krishna,
Krishna
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 Krishna, Hare
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 Ram, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare
Krishna
Ram
Hare
Ram
Hare
Hare
Ram
Hare
Ram
Hare
Ram Ram Hare
Krishna
Hare
Hare
Krishna
Krishna
Ram,
Hare
Hare Ram Hare Ram
Ram
Ram Ram
Ram
Hare
Ram
Ram,
Ram
Hare
Hare
Ram,
Hare
Ram
Hare Krishna Hare Krishna
Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Hare Ram Ram Ram
Ram
Hare
Ram Ram
Hare
Ram Hare
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 Krishna
Hare
Hare
Krishna
Krishna Krishna Hare Ram 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 Hare
Krishna
Hare
Krishna Hare Hare
Hare
Ram
Krishna
Ram
Hare
Krishna
Krishna
Hare
Krishna Krishna Hare Hare Hare
Hare
Ram
Krishna
Ram
Hare Krishna
Ram
Krishna
Ram
Krishna
Hare
Hare
Hare Hare Krishna Hare Krishna
Ram 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 Hare
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 Ram
Hare
Hare
Krishna
Ram
Hare
Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna Krishna Krishna
Krishna
Hare Hare
Krishna Hare Hare Hare
Hare
Ram
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 Hare
Ram Ram
Ram
Hare
Ram
Hare
Ram Hare
Ananda
Hare
Shadvaita Gadadara Shivasadi Gaura Bhatta Vrinda
Krishna Hare Krishna Krishna
Hare
Krishna
Hare Hare
Hare Krishna,
Krishna
Hare
Hare Ram
Krishna,
Ram
Krishna
Ram
Krishna,
Ram
Hare
Hare
Hare,
Hare
Hare Ram, Ram Ram,
Hare
Ram Hare
Ram,
Hare.
Hare Ram, Ram Ram,
Hare
Hare
Ram
Hare,
Krishna
Hare
Hare
Krishna,
Krishna,
Krishna
Hare
Krishna,
Krishna,
Hare
Hare
Hare.
Krishna, Hare Hare.
Hare Ram, Ram Ram,
Hare
Ram
Ram,
Hare
Hare
Hare,
Ram,
Hare
Ram
Krishna,
Ram,
Hare
Hare
Krishna,
Hare,
Hare
Hare
Krishna, Hare
Krishna,
Hare.
Hare
Ram
Krishna.
Ram, Ram Hare Hare.
Hare Ram,
Hare
Hare
Krishna,
Ram, Ram
Hare
Ram,
Krishna,
Hare
Krishna
Hare,
Hare
Krishna,
Hare
Ram
Hare
Krishna,
Hare.
Ram Ram
Hare
Ram Hare Hare Hare
Hare
Krishna
Ram,
Krishna
Ram Ram, Ram Hare
Hare
Hare,
Ram,
Hare
Hare
Krishna, Hare
Ram, Ram
Krishna,
Ram,
Krishna
Hare
Krishna,
Hare,
Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna,
Krishna
Hare
Krishna Hare
Krishna,
Hare
Krishna
Hare Ram
Krishna,
Ram
Hare
Ram
Hare.
Ram Hare Hare
Hare
Krishna
Ram, Hare Ram, Ram Ram,
Hare
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 Krishna,
Hare.
Ram
Hare
Ram Ram
Krishna.
Ram Hare Hare
Hare
Hare
Krishna,
Krishna
Hare
Hare
Krishna,
Hare
Krishna,
Ram,
Hare
Ram
Krishna,
Ram, Ram
Hare
Krishna
Hare
Ram
Hare,
Krishna,
Hare
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 Ram
Hare,
Krishna,
Ram
Hare
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 Ram.
Krishna
Krishna.
Hare
Krishna,
Krishna Hare
Hare
Krishna
Ram
Krishna
Ram,
Krishna,
Hare
Hare
Hare,
Hare,
Hare
Ram
Krishna,
Ram, Ram
Hare
Ram, Hare
Krishna,
Hare,
Hare
Krishna
Hare
Hare
Krishna,
Krishna Hare
Hare
Krishna
Hare
Krishna
Ram.
Krishna,
Krishna
Krishna.
Krishna, Hare
Ram
Rama,
Ram, Hare
Ram
Hare,
Ram
Hare
Ram Ram
Krishna,
Hare Hare
Hare
Hare
Krishna,
Krishna Hare
Krishna
Krishna
Krishna,
Krishna
Hare
Krishna
Hare,
Hare
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 Ram.
Ram 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 Hare Hare.
Ram Ram,
Hare
Hare
Ram
Hare,
Ram
Hare
Ram Ram
Krishna,
Hare
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 Krishna,
Krishna
Krishna
Hare
Krishna.
Krishna, Hare
Hare
Krishna,
Ram
Hare
Krishna
Ram
Ram,
Ram
Hare
Hare
Ram
Ram,
Krishna,
Ram
Ram
Hare
Hare
Ram,
Krishna,
Hare
Krishna
Krishna,
Hare,
Krishna
Hare
Hare
Krishna,
Rama,
Krishna
Ram
Krishna.
Ram Ram
Hare
Ram
Ram
Hare
Ram
Hare
Ram
Hare
Ram
Krishna,
Hare
Krishna
Hare
Hare
Krishna,
Hare Ram, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna,
Hare
Hare Krishna,
Krishna
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 Krishna.
Hare Hare Ram Ram
Hare
Ram
Ram,
Ram
Hare
Hare Hare.
Ram, Ram Ram, Hare
Hare
Hare,
Krishna,
Hare
Hare
Krishna,
Krishna,
Hare Krishna,
Hare
Krishna
Krishna,
Krishna.
Hare Krishna,
Hare
Hare Hare.
Ram, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare
Hare
Hare.
Ram, Ram
Hare
Ram
Ram Hare
Ram,
Ram
Hare
Ram
Hare,
Ram Hare
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 Krishna,
Hare
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 Krishna
Krishna.
Hare
Krishna,
Krishna
Hare Krishna,
Hare
Krishna
Krishna,
Krishna
Krishna, Hare
Krishna,
Hare,
Hare
Hare
Hare,
Ram.
Ram
Hare
Ram Ram
Krishna
Ram.
Hare
Ram
Krishna
Ram,
Krishna
Hare
Krishna
Hare,
Hare
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 Krishna,
Krishna,
Hare
Hare
Krishna,
Krishna,
Krishna
Krishna
Krishna.
Hare Hare.
Hare Ram, Hare Ram, Ram
Hare
Ram,
Krishna
Hare Hare.
Hare
Hare
Krishna,
Krishna,
Hare
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 Krishna,
Krishna,
Krishna, Hare
Hare Hare.
Krishna, Krishna
Rama
Krishna,
Hare
Rama,
Ram,
Hare Hare
Ram Ram
Ram.
Ram, Hare Hare, Hare
Hare
Krishna,
Ram
Krishna
Hare
Ram,
Hare
Krishna.
Hare
Krishna
Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna,
Hare
Krishna Hare
Hare,
Hare. Hare Ram, Hare Ram, Ram
Hare
Ram,
Krishna,
Hare
Hare
Hare,
Krishna,
Hare
Krishna
Krishna,
Krishna,
Hare
Hare
Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Hare Ram, Ram
Hare
Ram,
Krishna,
Hare
Hare
Krishna.
Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Ram,
Hare
Ram Ram
Krishna,
Ram, Hare
Hare
Hare,
Krishna,
Hare
Krishna
Krishna, Hare
Krishna,
Krishna,
Hare
Krishna
Hare,
Krishna,
Hare
Hare
Ram,
Hare,
Hare
Ram
Ram,
Ram Ram
Hare
Ram, Hare
Hare.
Hare.
Hare
Krishna,
Krishna,
Hare
Hare
Krishna,
Krishna,
Hare
Krishna
Krishna,
Krishna,
Krishna
Hare Hare.
Krishna, Hare Hare.
Hare
Hare
Ram,
Krishna,
Hare
Hare
Ram,
Ram
Ram
Krishna,
Ram
Ram.
Ram
Krishna,
Ram, Hare
Hare
Hare,
Hare,
Hare
Hare
Krishna,
Krishna,
Krishna
Hare Krishna,
Hare
Krishna
Krishna,
Krishna,
Hare
Hare
Krishna,
Hare, Hare Ram, Hare
Krishna,
Ram.
Krishna, Hare
Ram
Hare,
Ram,
Ram
Hare
Ram
Hare,
Ram Ram,
Hare
Hare
Krishna,
Hare
Hare
Krishna,
Krishna,
Hare
Krishna
Krishna, Krishna
Krishna.
Krishna, Hare Hare, Rama
Hare
Rama,
Rama,
Hare
Hare
Krishna,
Rama,
Hare
Hare
Rama
Krishna,
Krishna,
Krishna
Rama,
Hare
Hare
Krishna,
Hare.
Hare Hare.
Hare
Hare
Krishna,
Ram,
Hare
Ram Ram Ram,
Krishna,
Hare Hare,
Krishna
Hare
Krishna,
Krishna,
Hare
Hare Krishna, Krishna
Hare
Krishna, Hare
Ram,
Hare.
Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare
Hare
Hare.
Ram, Ram Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna,
Hare
Hare
Krishna,
Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Hare Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna,
Hare
Krishna
Krishna,
Krishna, Hare
Hare
Hare.
Krishna, Krishna Krishna,
Hare
Hare
Ram,
Hare.
Hare Ram, Ram Ram,
Hare
Hare
Ram,
Hare,
Ram
Hare
Ram Ram,
Krishna,
Hare Hare,
Krishna
Hare
Krishna,
Krishna,
Hare
Hare
Hare.
Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare,
Hare
Ram
Ram,
Ram.
Hare Ram, Ram Hare Hare.
Hare
Hare
Krishna,
Krishna,
Hare
Hare
Krishna,
Krishna,
Krishna
Krishna Krishna,
Krishna,
Hare
Hare Hare.
Hare, Hare Ram, Hare Ram.
Krishna
Ram
Krishna
Ram,
Hare
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 Ram,
Hare, Hare
Ram Ram,
Krishna,
Ram Hare
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 Hare,
Krishna
Krishna.
Hare
Hare
Krishna,
Krishna
Krishna,
Krishna
Krishna,
Krishna
Hare
Hare
Hare,
Ram, Hare
Hare Ram
Ram,
Hare
Ram
Ram Ram
Ram,
Ram Hare
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 Hare,
Hare
Hare
Krishna Hare
Krishna,
Krishna
Hare
Hare
Krishna,
Krishna,
Krishna
Krishna,
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 Hare
Krishna,
Hare.
Hare Hare,
Hare Krishna,
Hare
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 Ram,
Krishna
Hare
Krishna,
Hare
Ram,
Krishna
Krishna
Ram
Krishna,
Krishna
Ram,
Hare
Hare
Hare.
Hare Hare.
Krishna, Hare
Ram 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 Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna
Hare
Krishna,
Ram,
Hare
Hare
Hare.
Ram,
Hare
Ram
Ram
Krishna
Ram,
Ram
Hare
Ram
Hare
Krishna
Ram, Hare
Krishna.
Krishna
Hare.
Krishna
Hare
Hare
Krishna,
Hare,
Hare
Ram,
Krishna,
Ram,
Krishna
Ram,
Krishna
Hare
Krishna,
Hare
Hare,
Hare
Krishna
Hare,
Hare
Hare
Krishna
Ram.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna
Ram
Krishna
Ram
Hare Hare
Hare
Hare Ram
Hare
Ram
Hare
Ram Ram
Krishna
Hare Hare
Hare Krishna
Hare Krishna Hare Krishna
Hare
Krishna
Ram Hare
Krishna Hare
Ram
Hare
Ram Ram
Ram
Hare
Ram Ram
Krishna
Ram Hare
Hare
Hare Hare
Krishna
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 Hare
Krishna
Krishna
Hare Hare Ram
Krishna Krishna
Ram
Hare
Ram
Hare
Hare
Ram
Hare
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 Ram
Krishna,
Ram Ram
Krishna
Hare
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 Hare,
Krishna
Hare Ram, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare
Hare
Hare.
Krishna Hare Krishna
Hare
Krishna
Ram Hare
Krishna
Ram
Hare
Ram
Hare
Ram
Ram, Hare
Hare
Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Ram, Hare Ram, Ram Ram,
Hare
Hare
Krishna
Krishna
Hare
Hare
Krishna
Krishna
Krishna Krishna
Krishna
Hare
Krishna
Hare
Hare
Krishna
Hare
Krishna,
Hare
Hare
Ram
Hare.
Ram 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 Ram
Ram
Hare
Ram
Hare
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 Krishna
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 Hare
Hare
Hare Ram, Hare Ram,
Hare
Ram
Ram
Ram, Hare Hare,
Hare
Krishna
Krishna
Ram
Hare
Ram
Krishna
Hare
Krishna
Hare
Krishna Hare Hare
Hare Ram,
Hare
Hare Ram,
Krishna
Ram
Ram Ram,
Hare
Ram
Hare
Ram
Krishna,
Ram
Krishna
Hare
Krishna
Hare
Krishna
Hare
Krishna,
Hare
Krishna
Krishna
Hare
Krishna
Krishna.
Hare Ram
Krishna
Hare
Krishna
Krishna
Hare Hare Ram
Hare
Ram Ram
Krishna
Ram
Hare
Hare
Krishna
Hare Krishna
Hare
Hare
Ram,
Krishna
Hare
Hare
Ram,
Ram
Ram
Hare
Ram, Hare
Ram
Hare.
Ram Ram Hare
Ram
Hare
Ram
Hare
Ram Ram Hare Hare Hare
Hare
Krishna
Ram,
Hare
Ram
Krishna
Ram, Ram
Krishna
Ram,
Krishna
Hare
Hare Hare
Krishna,
Hare
Krishna
Ram
Ram
Krishna,
Ram
Hare
Hare
Ram
Hare.
Ram
Hare
Ram Ram Hare
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 Ram, Hare
Hare
Ram, Ram
Krishna
Ram,
Hare
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 Krishna
Krishna
Krishna,
Krishna
Hare
Krishna
Hare
Krishna
Krishna,
Krishna
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 Krishna,
Hare
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 Hare.
Hare Ram Hare
Hare
Ram
Ram,
Ram
Hare
Ram
Ram
Ram,
Ram
Hare
Hare
Ram
Hare,
Ram
Ram
Hare
Hare
Hare,
Hare
Krishna
Hare
Krishna,
Krishna Krishna Krishna
Hare
Hare
Ram,
Hare
Hare
Ram
Ram,
Ram
Hare
Ram
Ram,
Ram Hare
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 Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna
Hare
Krishna.
Hare
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 Krishna
Ram, Hare
Hare
Ram,
Krishna
Ram Ram,
Ram
Hare
Krishna
Ram
Hare
Hare
Krishna,
Hare
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 Hare Ram,
Ram
Krishna,
Hare
Ram Ram Ram
Krishna
Hare
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 Krishna
Hare
Krishna
Ram,
Hare
Hare
Krishna
Krishna
Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare
Hare
Krishna.
Ram Hare
Hare
Ram
Krishna
Ram
Hare
Ram
Ram,
Hare
Hare
Krishna
Hare
Krishna
Hare
Krishna
Krishna
Hare
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 Krishna
Krishna,
Jai
Krishna
Shri
Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Hare
Ram,
Ram,
Hare
Hare Hare
Ram Hare
Krishna.
Ram
Hare
Ram
Ram Hare
Ram
Ram
Hare
Ram Ram
Hare
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 Hare Hare
Krishna
Hare
Krishna
Hare
Ram, Hare
Sada
Ram, Ram
Ram,
Ram, Hare Hare,
Hare
Hare
Krishna
Krishna, Hare
Hare
Krishna, Krishna
Ram Hare
Krishna.
Ram
Hare
Ram
Ram, Hare
Hare
Ram,
Hare
Ram
Hare
Ram, Hare
Krishna
Hare
Hare
Krishna
Krishna
Hare
Krishna
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 Hare
Hare
Ram
Ram,
Hare
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 Ram,
Ram
Hare
Ram
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 Hare
Hare
Ram
Hare
Ram Ram Hare Hare Hare
Hare
Hare
Krishna
Krishna
Ram,
Hare
Hare
Krishna
Ram, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare
Hare
Krishna,
Krishna
Hare
Hare
Ram
Krishna,
Krishna
Hare
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 Krishna.
Hare Hare Ram
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 Ram Hare
Hare Ram, Hare Ram, Ram
Hare
Ram, Hare
Krishna
Hare, Hare
Krishna
Krishna, Hare
Krishna
Krishna,
Hare
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 Krishna.
Ram
Krishna
Hare
Hare Krishna
Hare
Krishna
Ram,
Ram
Hare
Ram
Ram,
Hare
Ram Ram,
Hare
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 Hare,
Ram,
Krishna Hare
Hare
Krishna
Ram 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 Hare
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 Ram,
Ram
Hare Ram,
Hare
Ram Ram,
Ram
Hare
Hare
Hare,
Ram
Hare
Ram
Krishna,
Ram
Hare
Hare
Krishna.
Hare
Hare
Ram,
Hare Krishna Hare
Hare
Krishna
Ram, Hare
Krishna
Ram, Ram Ram,
Hare
Hare Hare,
Krishna
Hare
Hare
Krishna.
Krishna
Hare
Krishna
Ram Hare
Krishna
Ram
Hare
Ram
Krishna
Ram
Hare
Hare
Ram, Hare
Hare
Ram,
Hare
Ram Ram,
Krishna
Hare
Hare
Hare, Hare
Krishna
Krishna, Hare
Krishna
Krishna.
Krishna Hare Hare
Hare
Ram
Krishna
Hare
Hare
Ram
Krishna
Ram Ram
Krishna
Hare
Krishna
Hare
Hare Hare Hare Ram 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 Hare
Hare
Hare Hare
Krishna
Krishna
Hare
Hare
Krishna
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 Krishna,
Krishna
Krishna,
Krishna
Hare
Hare
Hare,
Hare
Hare Ram,
Hare
Ram
Ram
Hare
Ram,
Ram
Ram Ram Ram Ram
Ram
Hare Hare
Ram
Hare
Hare
Krishna
Hare
Hare Krishna
Krishna
Hare
Krishna
Ram,
Hare Ram, Hare
Hare
Ram,
Hare
Ram
Hare
Ram,
Ram
Hare Hare,
Ram
Hare
Ram
Krishna,
Ram
Hare
Hare
Krishna, Krishna
Hare
Krishna.
Ram Hare
Hare
Ram
Krishna
Hare
Ram
Ram,
Hare
Hare
Krishna
Ram,
Hare
Ram
Ram,
Ram,
Krishna
Hare
Hare
Hare,
Hare
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 Krishna, Hare
Ram
Krishna.
Ram Ram Ram
Hare
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 Ram,
Ram, Hare Ram,
Hare
Ram Ram,
Ram
Hare
Hare
Hare,
Ram
Hare
Ram
Krishna
Ram
Hare
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 Krishna,
Ram,
Hare
Krishna
Krishna,
Krishna
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 Hare
Hare
Krishna,
Hare
Krishna
Hare
Hare
Hare,
Krishna
Hare Ram,
Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Hare
Hare
Krishna,
Ram
Hare
Hare
Krishna,
Ram
Krishna
Ram
Hare
Krishna,
Ram
Krishna
Hare
Hare Krishna
Hare Krishna,
Hare
Hare Krishna,
Krishna
Krishna
Ram
Krishna,
Ram
Hare
Ram
Hare,
Ram
Ram
Hare
Ram,
Hare
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 Hare,
Krishna
Hare
Hare
Krishna,
Hare
Krishna
Ram
Krishna,
Hare Ram Ram Ram
Krishna
Hare
Hare
Krishna, Hare
Hare
Hare,
Jai
Hare
Shri
Krishna,
Hare Ram,
Hare
Prabhupada
Krishna Hare
Prabhupada
Krishna
Hare
Prabhupada
Ram,
Hare
Prabhupada
Ram, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare
Hare
Hare,
Ram Ram Ram
Hare
Ram
Ram,
Hare 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 Krishna Hare
Hare Ram,
Hare
Hare
Ram,
Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna,
Hare Krishna Hare
Hare
Krishna
Ram,
Hare
Krishna Krishna Hare
Krishna
Hare
Hare Krishna
Hare
Krishna
Hare
Krishna
Ram
Hare
Ram Ram
Krishna,
Ram
Krishna,
Hare Hare
Hare
Hare
Hare,
Krishna
Krishna
Hare
Krishna,
Krishna
Hare
Ram
Ram,
Hare Hare Hare
Hare Ram
Krishna
Hare
Ram
Ram,
Hare
Hare
Ram Ram
Krishna
Ram,
Hare
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 Krishna
Krishna,
Hare
Krishna
Krishna
Hare
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 Krishna
Hare
Krishna
Ram
Hare
Hare
Hare Ram
Ram
Ram Ram
Ram
Ram Hare
Hare Hare Hare
Hare Ram,
Krishna Hare Krishna Krishna
Hare Ram,
Hare
Hare Ram,
Krishna
Ram Ram,
Hare Krishna
Hare
Krishna
Ram
Krishna
Hare
Hare Hare
Ram Ram
Hare
Hare Ram,
Ram 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 Hare 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 Krishna Hare
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 Krishna,
Ram,
Hare
Ram Ram,
Krishna,
Hare Hare,
Hare
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 Krishna.
Krishna
Hare
Hare
Ram,
Krishna 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 Hare Hare
Hare
Hare
Ram,
Ram
Hare
Hare
Ram,
Ram
Ram Ram, Hare Hare,
Ram Ram Hare Hare
Hare Krishna
Hare
Hare
Ram,
Krishna
Krishna Krishna,
Hare
Hare Hare,
Krishna,
Hare Ram,
Hare
Hare Ram, Ram
Krishna,
Ram, Hare
Krishna
Hare,
Hare
Krishna,
Hare
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 Hare, Hare Ram, Hare Ram,
Hare
Ram
Ram,
Ram,
Hare
Hare
Ram, Ram
Hare.
Ram,
Ram,
Hare
Hare Krishna, Hare
Hare
Krishna,
Krishna
Krishna
Hare
Krishna,
Krishna
Hare
Krishna
Hare,
Krishna
Hare
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 Ram,
Krishna,
Hare Ram.
Hare
Hare
Ram
Ram,
Ram
Ram
Ram,
Ram Ram
Hare
Hare
Hare.
Hare Hare Krishna
Hare
Hare Krishna
Krishna,
Krishna
Hare
Krishna Hare
Krishna,
Hare
Krishna
Ram
Krishna,
Ram Ram
Hare
Ram
Hare,
Hare
Hare
Krishna
Ram.
Hare Krishna,
Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Hare
Hare Ram,
Krishna,
Hare Ram,
Hare
Ram Ram, Hare
Krishna,
Hare,
Krishna Krishna,
Hare
Hare
Krishna
Hare.
Hare Krishna
Hare
Krishna
Ram,
Krishna
Hare
Hare
Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare.
Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram,
Hare
Hare Ram, Ram
Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare
Hare
Hare,
Krishna
Hare
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 Ram.
Krishna
Ram,
Hare
Hare
Krishna
Ram,
Hare
Ram
Krishna
Ram,
Ram,
Hare
Ram
Hare, Hare
Ram,
Krishna,
Hare
Hare
Hare,
Hare
Krishna,
Ram,
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Hare Ram.
Krishna Krishna,
Hare
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 Ram,
Hare,
Krishna
Hare
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 Hare,
Krishna,
Krishna
Hare
Hare
Krishna
Krishna,
Krishna,
Krishna
Krishna
Hare
Krishna,
Hare
Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare
Hare
Ram.
Ram
Hare
Hare
Ram,
Ram,
Ram
Hare
Hare
Ram,
Ram
Ram,
Ram
Ram
Hare
Ram,
Ram Ram, Hare Hare Krishna, Hare
Hare
Krishna,
Krishna, Krishna
Krishna
Krishna,
Krishna
Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Hare Ram,
Hare Ram, Hare
Ram
Ram,
Ram, Hare Hare.
Krishna Krishna Hare
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna,
Hare
Hare
Krishna,
Hare.
Hare
Hare
Krishna, Krishna
Krishna,
Krishna, Hare
Hare
Hare,
Krishna,
Hare
Hare
Krishna
Ram,
Krishna,
Ram, 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 Hare Hare, Hare
Hare
Krishna.
Ram, Hare Ram,
Hare
Krishna
Ram
Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare
Hare
Hare, Hare
Hare
Krishna,
Krishna,
Hare
Hare
Krishna,
Krishna,
Hare
Krishna
Krishna
Krishna,
Krishna
Hare
Krishna,
Hare
Ram,
Hare
Ram
Ram
Ram,
Ram Ram, Hare Hare,
Hare
Hare
Ram,
Krishna,
Hare
Hare
Ram,
Krishna,
Ram
Hare
Ram,
Hare
Hare
Hare,
Hare, Hare
Ram
Krishna,
Ram Ram,
Hare
Hare
Krishna,
Krishna,
Hare
Ram
Krishna, Hare
Krishna
Krishna,
Krishna
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 Hare
Krishna,
Krishna,
Ram,
Hare
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 Hare.
Hare,
Ram,
Hare
Ram
Ram, Hare
Ram,
Ram, Hare
Hare
Krishna,
Hare, Hare
Hare
Krishna,
Krishna,
Hare
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 Krishna,
Krishna,
Ram
Krishna
Krishna
Krishna,
Krishna
Hare
Hare
Hare,
Hare
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 Ram,
Ram, Hare Ram,
Hare
Ram Ram,
Ram,
Hare Hare,
Ram
Hare
Ram,
Krishna,
Hare
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 Krishna,
Hare,
Krishna,
Hare
Hare
Krishna,
Ram
Krishna
Hare
Krishna,
Ram,
Hare Hare.
Ram Ram, Hare
Ram,
Hare
Ram,
Krishna,
Ram, Ram,
Hare
Hare Hare,
Krishna,
Hare Krishna,
Krishna
Hare
Krishna,
Krishna,
Hare
Krishna
Hare,
Krishna,
Hare
Hare
Ram
Hare.
Hare Ram, Hare Ram, Ram
Krishna Krishna
Ram,
Hare
Hare
Ram,
Hare,
Ram, 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 Hare
Hare
Hare, Hare
Krishna,
Krishna,
Hare
Hare
Krishna,
Krishna, Krishna
Krishna
Krishna,
Hare
Krishna,
Hare
Ram
Hare
Hare.
Hare,
Ram, 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 Ram,
Hare
Hare Hare.
Ram, Hare Ram,
Hare
Ram
Hare
Ram,
Krishna,
Hare
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 Krishna, Krishna
Krishna,
Krishna,
Hare
Hare Hare.
Krishna,
Hare Ram
Ram, 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 Hare
Hare
Hare,
Ram,
Hare
Hare
Krishna,
Ram,
Hare
Ram
Krishna,
Ram,
Krishna
Hare
Krishna,
Hare
Hare
Hare.
Hare,
Hare
Hare
Ram
Ram,
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna
Hare
Krishna, Hare Ram, Ram Ram.
Hare Ram, Hare Ram, Ram
Hare
Ram,
Hare
Ram
Krishna,
Hare
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 Krishna,
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 Hare
Hare
Krishna
Krishna,
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 Krishna
Hare
Krishna
Hare.
Hare
Krishna,
Krishna,
Ram 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 Hare Hare
Hare Ram,
Hare 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 Krishna
Hare Ram,
Krishna Krishna
Ram 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 Hare 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 Krishna
Hare
Hare
Ram,
Rama
Krishna
Rama
Krishna Hare
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 Ram
Hare
Ram Ram
Krishna
Hare
Ram
Hare
Hare
Ram,
Krishna
Krishna Krishna
Hare Krishna Hare
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 Krishna
Ram,
Ram
Krishna
Hare Ram
Krishna
Ram
Hare
Ram Hare Hare Hare
Ram
Krishna
Hare
Ram 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 Hare Hare
Hare
Krishna
Krishna
Hare
Hare
Krishna
Hare
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 Ram,
Hare
Ram 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 Hare
Ram
Hare
Ram Ram
Hare
Ram
Krishna
Hare Hare
Hare
Hare Krishna
Hare
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 Krishna
Hare
Hare
Ram,
Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare Hare
Krishna,
Hare
Hare
Krishna
Krishna
Hare
Hare
Krishna
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 Hare
Krishna
Ram,
Krishna
Krishna
Hare
Hare
Krishna
Hare
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 Krishna
Ram Hare
Krishna
Hare
Ram
Hare
Ram,
Ram Hare
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 Krishna Hare
Krishna
Krishna
Hare
Hare
Krishna
Krishna
Ram,
Krishna
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 Hare
Hare
Hare Hare Ram
Hare
Ram Ram Hare Hare
Hare
Hare
Krishna
Krishna
Hare
Hare
Krishna
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 Krishna Hare
Krishna
Hare
Hare Hare
Hare
Hare Ram
Ram Ram Ram Ram Hare Hare
Ram
Hare
Ram
Krishna
Hare
Hare
Hare Hare
Hare
Krishna
Ram,
Hare Krishna Krishna
Krishna
Krishna
Krishna
Hare
Hare Hare
Hare
Hare Ram
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 Ram Ram Hare Hare
Hare
Hare
Ram,
Krishna Hare Krishna Krishna
Krishna
Krishna
Krishna
Hare
Hare Hare Hare Ram
Hare
Ram Ram
Ram
Ram
Hare Ram 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 Hare
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 Ram,
Hare Krishna Krishna
Krishna
Krishna
Krishna
Hare
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 Hare Hare Ram
Hare
Hare
Ram
Krishna
Hare Ram
Hare
Ram
Krishna
Ram
Hare
Krishna
Hare
Ram,
Krishna
Hare
Hare Hare
Hare Ram Hare Ram Ram Ram
Ram Ram
Hare
Ram Ram Hare
Krishna
Hare
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 Krishna
Krishna Hare
Krishna
Hare
Krishna
Krishna
Hare
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 Ram,
Hare Ram Hare
Ram Ram Ram
Krishna
Ram Hare
Krishna
Hare
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 Krishna
Ram
Krishna
Ram
Hare
Ram
Hare
Ram
Krishna
Hare
Krishna Krishna
Ram
Hare
Hare
Hare Hare Ram Hare
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 Krishna Hare
Krishna
Krishna
Hare
Krishna
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 Hare Hare
Krishna
Hare
Hare
Ram,
Hare Hare
Ram 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 Hare
Ram
Hare
Hare
Ram Hare
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 Ram Hare Ram
Hare
Ram Ram Hare Hare
Hare
Krishna
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 Hare
Hare
Ram,
Krishna
Hare
Hare Hare
Hare
Hare Ram Ram
Hare
Ram Hare Hare
Hare Krishna
Hare
Hare
Krishna
Krishna
Hare
Krishna
Hare
Krishna
Ram,
Hare Krishna Krishna
Hare
Krishna
Ram,
Hare 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 Ram Ram Ram
Hare
Hare
Ram,
Hare
Hare Ram Hare Ram
Hare
Hare
Krishna Hare
Krishna
Krishna
Hare
Krishna
Krishna
Krishna Hare
Krishna
Hare
Krishna Hare Hare
Ram
Hare Ram,
Hare
Ram
Ram
Ram Ram
Hare
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 Ram
Krishna
Ram Hare
Hare
Hare Hare Krishna Hare Krishna
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 Hare
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 Hare Hare Ram
Hare
Ram
Krishna
Ram
Hare
Hare
Ram
Ram
Hare
Krishna
Hare
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 Ram
Hare
Ram
Krishna
Ram
Krishna
Hare
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 Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare Ram
Hare
Ram 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 Hare
Krishna
Hare
Hare
Krishna
Krishna
Krishna Krishna Hare
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 Krishna
Ram
Hare
Ram
Krishna Hare Hare Ram
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 Hare
Ram Ram Hare Hare
Hare Krishna Hare
Hare Ram
Krishna
Ram
Krishna
Ram
Krishna
Hare
Hare
Krishna
Hare Hare
Hare
Ram
Krishna
Hare
Krishna
Ram
Krishna
Ram
Hare
Ram
Hare
Hare
Ram Ram
Hare
Ram Ram
Krishna
Krishna
Hare
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 Krishna
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 Hare
Krishna
Krishna
Hare 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 Ram
Hare
Ram
Ram,
Ram
Hare Ram Hare Ram
Hare
Ram
Krishna Hare
Hare
Krishna Krishna
Hare
Krishna
Krishna
Hare Hare
Hare Krishna Krishna
Hare
Krishna
Ram
Hare Hare
Ram Ram Hare
Ram
Hare
Krishna
Ram
Krishna
Ram
Hare
Ram
Hare
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 Hare Krishna
Krishna
Hare
Hare
Krishna
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 Krishna Hare
Krishna
Hare
Hare Hare Hare
Hare Ram,
Hare
Hare Ram Hare Ram
Ram
Ram Ram
Hare
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 Ram Ram Ram
Hare
Ram Hare Hare
Krishna Hare Krishna Krishna Hare
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 Krishna
Hare
Hare
Ram
Hare Ram,
Krishna Krishna
Krishna
Krishna
Krishna
Ram
Hare
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 Ram
Hare
Hare
Hare Ram
Hare
Hare Ram
Hare
Hare
Krishna,
Ram
Hare
Hare
Krishna,
Krishna
Hare
Ram
Krishna
Ram Ram
Hare
Ram Hare
Krishna
Hare
Krishna
Hare Ram
Krishna
Hare Ram
Hare
Ram Ram
Hare
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 Ram
Hare
Krishna
Ram,
Hare Krishna Krishna
Ram
Krishna
Hare
Ram
Krishna
Hare
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 Ram
Hare
Hare
Ram
Hare
Ram
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 Krishna
Ram
Hare
Ram
Hare
Hare
Krishna Hare Krishna Krishna
Hare Ram,
Hare Ram Hare Ram Ram
Hare
Ram
Hare
Krishna
Hare
Krishna
Krishna
Hare
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 Krishna
Hare
Krishna
Hare
Ram
Krishna
Hare
Krishna
Ram Ram
Jai
Ram
Shri
Hare
Ram
Ram Hare
Ram
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 Hare
Ram
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 Hare
Ram
Hare
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 Ram
Krishna
Ram
Hare
Ram
Krishna
Hare
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 Krishna Hare Krishna Krishna
Nivasa,
Krishna Hare
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 Ram Hare
Hare
Ram
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 Hare
Hare
Ram
Hare
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 Krishna,
Rama Rama Hare
Krishna
Hare
Krishna
Hare
Hare
Krishna
Hare Hare
Hare
Hare
Ram
Ram,
Krishna
Ram Ram
Hare
Ram Hare
Krishna
Hare
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 Krishna
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 Hare
Krishna
Hare
Krishna
Hare
Ram
Hare
Hare
Krishna,
Ram 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 Hare Hare Hare
Ram
Hare
Ram
Ram
Ram,
Ram Ram
Hare
Hare
Krishna
Hare
Krishna
Krishna
Hare
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 Krishna
Hare
Hare
Ram
Krishna
Ram
Hare
Ram
Krishna
Krishna,
Hare
Krishna
Hare
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 Krishna Hare
Hare
Krishna
Ram Hare Ram
Hare
Hare
Ram
Ram,
Ram
Ram Ram
Hare
Ram Hare
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 Hare Krishna
Krishna
Hare
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 Krishna
Krishna
Krishna,
Krishna Krishna
Krishna
Hare
Krishna Hare
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 Ram
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 Hare
Ram
Ram,
Ram Hare Hare
Ram Ram Hare Hare
Hare
Hare
Krishna Hare
Krishna Hare
Krishna
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 Hare Ram
Krishna
Hare
Hare
Krishna
Hare
Ram
Hare
Ram
Hare
Ram
Hare
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 Ram,
Ram Ram
Ram
Ram Ram
Ram
Hare
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 Ram
Hare
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 Krishna
Ram
Hare
Ram
Hare
Ram
Hare
Hare
Krishna
Hare
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 Krishna
Hare
Hare
Krishna
Krishna Hare
Hare Krishna
Hare
Krishna
Ram,
Krishna Hare 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 Ram 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 Ram
Hare
Hare Hare
Hare
Hare
Krishna,
Krishna
Hare
Hare
Krishna,
Krishna
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 Krishna, Hare
Krishna
Hare,
Hare Hare Hare
Hare
Ram
Ram, Ram Ram,
Hare
Ram
Ram,
Hare
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 Hare,
Hare Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Hare Ram
Hare
Hare
Ram,
Ram
Krishna,
Ram
Hare
Hare
Krishna,
Hare
Krishna
Hare
Krishna,
Hare
Hare
Ram
Hare,
Hare Krishna
Hare
Ram Ram, Ram Ram, Hare
Hare
Hare,
Ram Hare Ram Ram
Hare
Ram
Ram,
Hare 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 Krishna
Hare Ram,
Krishna Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare Hare
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare,
Hare Krishna
Hare
Hare
Ram,
Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Hare Ram
Hare
Hare
Ram,
Krishna,
Ram Ram
Hare
Hare
Krishna,
Hare
Krishna
Hare
Krishna, Hare
Krishna
Hare,
Hare
Hare
Krishna
Hare
Krishna
Ram,
Ram, Ram Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare,
Hare
Hare
Ram
Krishna,
Hare Ram 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 Hare Hare
Hare Ram,
Hare Krishna Krishna Krishna
Hare
Hare
Ram,
Hare Ram
Hare
Ram Ram
Krishna,
Hare
Hare
Krishna,
Hare
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 Krishna, Krishna
Krishna
Krishna,
Hare
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 Krishna
Hare Ram, Hare Krishna,
Hare
Hare
Ram Ram
Krishna,
Ram
Krishna,
Hare
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 Hare,
Hare
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 Krishna
Krishna,
Hare
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 Krishna,
Hare
Krishna,
Krishna,
Krishna
Hare
Krishna.
Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare
Hare
Hare,
Ram
Hare
Ram
Hare
Ram,
Ram
Hare Ram,
Hare
Ram Ram,
Hare
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 Hare,
Krishna
Krishna, Hare
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 Krishna,
Krishna
Hare
Krishna,
Krishna
Hare,
Hare
Krishna
Krishna.
Hare
Hare
Ram,
Ram, Hare
Hare
Ram,
Hare
Hare
Ram,
Ram
Ram
Hare
Hare
Ram
Krishna, Hare
Ram
Krishna,
Ram
Hare
Krishna
Ram
Krishna,
Krishna,
Hare
Hare Hare,
Hare
Hare
Hare Ram,
Krishna,
Hare
Hare
Ram, Ram
Krishna.
Ram, Hare
Hare
Hare,
Krishna
Hare
Krishna
Ram,
Krishna,
Hare
Hare
Krishna
Ram,
Krishna
Hare,
Ram,
Krishna
Ram, Ram,
Krishna
Hare Hare.
Hare Hare
Hare
Hare
Hare
Ram,
Shri
Hare
Ram
Guru
Ram Ram,
Chaitanya
Hare
Prabhu
Hare,
Ram Ram
Nityananda Shri
Hare
Advaita
Hare
Krishna
Hare
Gadadhar
Hare Krishna,
Krishna
Sivasati
Hare
Gaura
Krishna
Bhaktivinoda.
Krishna
Hare Ram,
Krishna
Hare
Hare
Ram,
Hare
Ram Ram,
Hare
Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare
Hare Krishna, Hare
Hare
Krishna,
Ram,
Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Ram Ram.
Hare
Hare
Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Hare Ram, Ram
Hare
Ram,
Ram,
Hare Hare. Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaura
Hare
Hare
Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Ram,
Hare
Hare Hare, Krishna Hare
Hare Ram,
Krishna Krishna Hare Hare Hare
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna,
Krishna
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 Hare
Hare
Ram,
Krishna Krishna Hare Hare
Hare
Krishna,
Krishna 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 Krishna
Hare Ram,
Hare
Hare
Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Hare
Hare
Ram,
Ram,
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna,
Hare
Hare Ram,
Hare Ram,
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna,
Hare Ram,
Hare Ram, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare
Hare
Hare,
Ram, Hare Hare
Hare Ram, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Ram,
Hare Ram, Hare
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Ram,
Hare Ram, Hare Ram,
Hare
Hare Rama,
Krishna Krishna Hare
Hare Ram, Hare Ram,
Hare Krishna,
Hare Rama, Hare
Krishna Hare Ram,
Hare Ram, Hare Ram, Hare
Hare
Rama, Hare
Hare
Krishna Hare
Hare Ram, Hare
Ram, Hare
Hare
Krishna Hare
Hare Ram, Hare
Ram, Ram Ram,
Hare
Hare Krishna,
Krishna
Hare
Hare Ram, Hare Ram, Hare Rama,
Krishna, Krishna Hare Ram, Hare Ram,
Hare Ram,
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna,
Hare
Krishna
Hare Ram,
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Hare Ram,
Hare Ram,
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna
Hare
Krishna Hare
Hare Ram, Hare
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna
Hare
Hare Ram, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare
Hare
Krishna,
Ram,
Hare
Hare Rama, Hare
Krishna, Hare
Ram,
Krishna, Hare Ram,
Hare Rama,
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna
Hare
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 Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Hare Ram, Hare
Hare
Ram, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna
Hare
Hare Ram, Hare
Ram,
Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Hare
Hare
Ram, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare
Hare
Ram, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna
Hare
Krishna
Ram,
Ram, Hare Ram, Ram Ram,
Hare
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna
Hare
Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Hare Ram, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Hare Ram, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Hare Ram, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Hare
Ram,
Hare Ram, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Ram, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna
Hare
Hare Ram, Hare Ram, Ram Ram,
Ram,
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna,
Hare Ram,
Hare Ram, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare
Hare
Krishna, Hare Ram,
Hare Rama, Hare Ram,
Hare Krishna, Hare Hare Krishna, Krishna 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 Hare
Hare
Hare,
Krishna Krishna
Hare
Krishna Krishna Krishna
Hare Ram, Hare Rama,
Krishna
Hare Ram, Hare Rama, Hare Krishna, Hare Ram, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Hare Krishna, Hare Ram, Hare Hare Ram, Hare Rama, Hare Hare Ram, Hare Rama, Hare
Hare Krishna.
Hare Ram,
Hare Krishna
Hare
Hare Krishna Prabhuji.
Hare Ram, Hare Rama, Hare
Thank you. Sorry. So, those were chanting, but it's time to read Srimad Bhagavatam. 7. So, this is Canto 4, Chapter 9. No, Canto 4, Chapter 22, verse 49. Venyastu dhuryo mahatam संस्थित्यात् अध्यात्म शिक्षया आप्तकामम इवात्मानम मेना आत्मनि अवस्थितः. Amongst great personalities, Maharaj Prithu was the chief by virtue of his fixed position in relation to spiritual enlightenment. He remained satisfied as one who has achieved all success in spiritual understanding. Okay, so he was, among all the great personalities, he was the chief because he was fixed in his position of service to the Supreme Lord, or understanding, yeah, who he is in relation to the Supreme Lord. So, like Prahlad Maharaj was also, so all these great personalities are very fixed up. They are very steady in their devotional service. Despite whatever external situation may be, um, that is the greatness of such personalities. Like Srila Prabhupada also, right? He was fixed up in Krishna consciousness. Even in his last days, he was, very Krishna conscious, even in his most difficult times with health issues and things like that. So they're very fixed up. Prahlad Maharaj also, in very dangerous situations, so many ways they tried to kill Prahlad, like throwing him off the cliff, putting him under stampeding elephants, starving him, throwing boulders on him, so many ways. But he was fixed. So for us, that means we have to be very consistently doing our devotional service every day. Every day, our sadhana, our services consistently. Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya, like that. Then we can also experience higher taste, and we can remain satisfied with Krishna consciousness. So, ahetuki apratihata. Ahetuki we cannot, apratihata we may not be able to do constantly, but that's the goal. We want to come to the point of constantly remembering Krishna. Okay, that will come about when our love will become more and more developed. Remaining fixed in devotional service gives one the utmost in self satisfaction. So, if you do devotional service with the right consciousness, and the right consciousness is to please Krishna, then we will be satisfied. ये आत्मा सुप्रसिद्धति अहेतुक सवै पुंसाम सवै पुंसाम.
परो धर्मो यथो भक्तिरधोक्षिति अहेतुकीय प्रतिहता ये आत्मा सुप्रसिद्धि.
Tushti pushti shudapayo anughasham also. Tushti means satisfaction. Pushti means nourishment. So shudapayo means cessation of hunger. So when one does devotional service nicely, then he will feel very satisfied. So remaining fixed, and then he thinks this is the most having gained this, there is no other greater gain. Yam labdva
चापरं लाभं मन्यते नाधिकं तथा यस्मिन् स्थितो न दुःखेन गुरुणापि विचल्यते.
So one feels, yes. So we want to come to that platform where we feel there is no greater gain. So you're not hankering for anything of this world because you feel fully satisfied in devotional service. So we want to come to that platform. And we come to that platform when we get taste. Remaining fixed in devotional service gives one the utmost in self-satisfaction. Otherwise, as Vaman Dev says to Bali Maharaj, you may get everything in this world. Hiranyakashipu had everything in this world, but he was not satisfied. So, the entirety of whatever may be in the three worlds, if is given to a person whose senses are uncontrolled, then he will not be satisfied. And that is the nature of greed. You never satisfied with lust, greed like that. Dushpurena analena cha. It is never satisfied. So, with Krishna only, we are satisfied. Actually, self-satisfaction can be achieved only by pure devotees who have no desire other than to serve the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So they experience self-satisfaction, means inner happiness. So pure devotees. Since the Supreme Personality of Godhead has nothing to desire, he is fully satisfied with himself. Similarly, a devotee who has no desire other than to serve the Supreme Personality of Godhead is as self-satisfied as the Supreme Lord. So he becomes like the Supreme Lord. He also becomes Atma Ram. Everyone is hankering after peace of mind and self-satisfaction, but these can be only achieved by becoming a pure devotee of the Lord. Or the more we head towards becoming a pure devotee, the more we will be feeling peace of mind and feeling self-satisfied. How much time it takes to become a pure devotee of the Lord? How much time it will take to become pure devotee?
Prabhupada says we can do that in a minute,
In a minute, yes.
or we can take millions of lifetimes. It's up to us.
In a moment we can become pure devotee. How? If you surrender to Krishna and say, yes, Krishna, I accept everything that you say. You are my Lord and Master. I am your servant. I will only serve you now. So then you're pure devotee. Anya Abhilashata Shunya means you have no desire other than to serve the Lord. So that's King Prithu's statements in previous verses regarding his vast knowledge and perfect devotional service are justified here. For he is considered best among all Mahatmas. Like in Chaitanya Charitamrita it says, Ek bar, somebody says, come. Then Krishna says, I will give him protection. We have that verse, Abhayam Sakri Deva Prapanno Yastavasmiti Jaya. That is there. But it has to be every moment, right? Because normally we say it, then we forget. So every moment is a choice. For us. So every moment we should remind ourselves, yes. So, King Prithu's statement in previous verses regarding his vast knowledge and perfect devotional service are justified here, for he is considered best among all Mahatmas. Sometimes they say Prahlad Maharaj is considered the best among all the Mahajans. I think Madhvacharya says in one purport, Prabhupada writes like that in the seventh canto. And whenever there is a discussion about spiritual life, does it Yudhishthir Maharaj say that, or Narad Muni says that the topic
Yeah,
of
Narad Muni says
Narad Muni says,
topics of Prahlad Maharaj are discussed.
are they inevitably come up. He's such
Mhm.
a great devotee. Yeah, he's such a great devotee. Actually, Narad Muni is glorifying his own disciple, Prahlad Maharaj, because yeah, he's both are both are Mahajans. So Narad Muni is taking great pleasure because he has achieved such pure devotion to Krishna. So King Prithu's statement in previous verses regarding his vast knowledge and perfect devotional service are justified here, for he is considered best among all Mahatmas. In Bhagavad Gita 9:13, Sri Krishna speaks of Mahatmas in this way. Mahatmanastu mam partha devim prakritim ashritah bhajanti ananya manaso gyatva bhutadim avyayam. O son of Pritha, those who are not deluded, uh, the great souls, are under the protection of divine nature, or by remaining under the protection of divine nature, then we will not be deluded. So, which one comes first? Those who are not deluded, they take protection of divine nature, or somebody who takes protection of divine nature, uh, they are not deluded. Either way, you can say they are fully engaged in devotional service because they know me as the Supreme Personality of God, original and inexhaustible. So, anybody who is great soul, this is the definition. How you can say somebody is a Mahatma. Atma means soul and Maha means great. So, he's a very great soul. When he has taken shelter, Ashrita, Ashray, of Devi Prakriti, means devotional service. Srimati Radharani, those who take shelter of Srimati Radharani, means devotional service because she's the personification of devotional service. Radharani. So, one who takes shelter. And Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, like that, the six Goswamis, and then we have the Srila Prabhupada. So, those who take shelter of the Mahatmas, who have taken shelter of the Supreme Lord and devotional service, they are also Mahatmas. The Mahatmas are not under the clutches of the illusory energy, but are under the protection of the spiritual energy. So either we are, protected by the police or we are arrested by the police. It is the same energy, but you know, depending on our activities, the police arrests us or the police protects us. So in the same way, we can say we can choose to be under clutches of illusion, or in spiritual world, everybody is under spiritual energy. Here in the material world, we are all under the illusory energy. As in the Kevalastakam it is said, right? Abrahma stambha paryantam sarvamaya mayam jagat satyam satyam puna satyam harinam eva kevalam. So from Brahma's highest planet to the lowly clump of grass, this is everywhere is the illusory energy of the Lord. And Bhaktivinoda Thakur also says in his Gopinath song that, yeah, I'm very weak and your Maya is everywhere. So how will I take shelter? I don't know bhakti, so you please help me. So न जानी भकती कर्मे चढ़मती पोड़ेशी संसार घोरे Gopinath. Yesterday we had nice song Gopinath. So in that song, Bhaktivinoda Thakur expresses his inability because he's afflicted with all the material desires and everything. But he wants the mercy of Krishna. He wants. So somehow or other, Krishna, you are so compassionate. So that's the, you want something, but you know you are not qualified, but you want it. So it creates like a longing, you know. You feel you are not qualified, but you still want it very bad. So then it creates like a very hankering in the heart. Like, you want to be, let's say, something. You want to be in a very nice company or something, but you are not qualified, you don't have the quality, but you want to be very much. So that creates like a cry from the heart. So, so the acharyas, they feel like that. They're not qualified, but they really want Krishna's mercy. So, because of this, the real Mahatma is always engaged in devotional service of the Lord. Prthu Maharaj exhibited all the symptoms of Mahatma. I think after this verse comes Satatam Kirtayantu Mam, which is right in the middle of Bhagavad Gita, isn't it? 9:14 and 9:13. I think this is, if you take 700 verses and if you divide it in the middle. So if you have, 700 means it's an even number. So there are two verses that are in middle. So if you take the 349th and the 350th verse of the Bhagavad Gita, you come to this two verses. Mahatmanas Tumam Partha. I have not calculated, but somebody was saying, so I believe that that this is the middle. Maybe it's 350 and 351. So like that. So this is the heart of, and of course then we say middle six chapters, and in the middle six chapters, the ninth and tenth are the middle of the middle six chapters, and if you take the middle of that, they say that other verse, Manvana Bhava Mad Bhakto Madhyaji Mam Namaskuru. Something like that, I think. That's also in the. So the Mahatmas are not under the clutches of illusory energy, but are under the protection of the spiritual energy. Because of this, the real Mahatma is always engaged in devotional service of the Lord. Maybe we can see if these are the two verses in the middle. We can add up all the.
Yes.
Huh?
Yeah, I see. I paste. It's there mentioned in this article. The 350th verse is 9:13, 9:14.
9:13, 9:14, right? Yeah. Middle point of Bhagavad. 350 and 351. So he says, okay, 9, 9:30, 9:14. So yeah. So that is, this is, so describes how we are supposed to engage in devotional service. And Satatam Kirtayanto Mam Yatantasya Tridavritaha, that is 9:14. Yatantasya Mam Namasyantasya Mam Bhakti. Okay. Because of this, the real Mahatma is always engaged in the devotional service of the Lord. Prthu Maharaj exhibited all the symptoms of a Mahatma. Therefore, he is mentioned in this verse as Dhuryo Mahatam, best of the Mahatmas. So we can become Mahatma if from Duratma we can become Mahatma. Duratma means we are engaged in service of illusory energy, Maya. But if we choose to serve the spiritual energy of Krishna, Srimati Radharani, then we become Mahatma. Duratma. So Okay. And in Gaudiya Vaishnava thing, we are followers of Srimati Radharani. They say we worship Krishna because Radharani likes Krishna. Anyway, we don't want to make such any distinctions, but anyhow, it is. They are non-different also. Radha Krishna Pranaya Vikriti Ladini Shakti Rasmat Ekatmana Api Bhuvi Pura Deha Pedam Gatauto. They are one, but they have separated into Deha Pedam into two, and then they have combined again as Lord Chaitanya. Okay, so the next verse. Any comments on this verse? So we can become satisfied by chanting Hare Krishna, and our mind will be satisfied. It is amazing, right? That repeating some words, Prabhupada said, it's not just any word. This is Krishna himself. This holy name is Krishna himself. So when you associate with Krishna, you feel very satisfied. And we can experience, although some anxiety is there, but as soon as you pick up your bead bag, chant Hare Krishna, you start feeling different, especially if you are chanting with attention and with some feeling for Krishna. So this is amazing that we have got this Maha Mantra, which will give us all perfection. We should have strong faith in the holy name of Krishna, just as Prabhupada had. He said, I have no devotion, I have no knowledge, but I have strong faith in the holy name of Krishna. So we should feel that this holy name will give me everything. All perfection will come. If I just chant the holy name very nicely, then everything will come from the chanting of the holy name. And it is a fact. Yesterday Kalapanda Prabhu was saying, right, that there were so many, they were surprised how it created such a transformation in their life, that all the bad habits were starting to disappear. The hankering for the bad habits start going away. Yeah.
So if we satisfy Krishna's senses, then we will become satisfied. Yasmin tushte jagat tushtam. So we should always try to please Krishna. With all our senses engage in service of Krishna. Then our senses will not be hankering for sense enjoyment. Govinda, right? He gives pleasure to the senses.
Yes. Otherwise, any one sense can deviate. It is in the, what is that verse in Bhagavad Gita? As even one of the senses on which the mind focuses can take away a man.
The intelligence of the mind.
Yeah.
यतत् हेऽपि कौन्तेय पुरुषस्य विपाश्चित इन्द्रियाणि प्रमाथनि हरन्ति प्रसभं मनः.
But everything beginning, that also verse is there, right? It begins with the tongue. Right? They say, Sevan mukhe hi jiva dos. Jiva, first thing is jiva, right? It starts with the tongue. And in the, what is that verse that says, devotional service begins with the chanting of the holy name. Itavan Nivalokesmin. No? There is some verse in the Bhagavatam. Right? The ultimate religious principle is that to chant the holy name. And then from that, then you want to do devotional service and everything. Of course, service complements our chanting. If we engage in service, then our chanting will be good. And if we chant good, then our service will be good. So we'll have a desire to. So it both, everything, it complements each other. So, so we have to engage. Devotional service beginning with the chanting of the holy name is the ultimate religious principle.
एतावानेवा लोकेस्मिन् पुंसां धर्मा परस्मृता भक्ति योगो भगवती तन्नाम गृणादिभिः. Devotional service beginning with the chanting of the holy name of the Lord is the ultimate religious principle for a living entity in human society.
Yes. Okay, so.
And we need satisfaction because no matter what happens in our life, we will just be happy doing devotional service. That nobody can take away from us. It does not require any material qualification. Like in old age also, we'll just be happy sitting in one corner chanting the holy name.
Yeah, like Gaur Govind Swami said, right? Money can be taken away, this can be taken away, but something that cannot be taken away. This is the real wealth, that which will not be taken away from you, is our attachment to Krishna in the form of this chanting of the. In the Mahamurk story, there is a at the end, Gaur Govind Swami, there is a nice, he says, let me just here read it. I mean, we know this, but this is a story, you understand? Yes, the Harinam is such dhan. The robbers will not take it. The brothers will not demand share of it. The government will not levy taxes on it. But if you earn in this material world then then the robbers will take, means other money. Your brothers will demand a share, isn't it? The government will levy taxes and you will be put into dangerous situations with the robbers and dacoits. They will come and stab and take it away. Of course, not always like that, but isn't it? But the holy name is such a dhan. If you have earned it, you are in safest position. And this dhan will go with you at last to Krishna Lok. Baba, as Gaur Govind Swami. It will take you to the kingdom of Golok Vrindavan. A naam bolte bolte Braj Chelera Bhakti Vinode bolte Chelera. By chanting his name, you will go to Braj Bhumi. So of course, Niraprade Namaloya Pai Premdhan. So to endeavor to give up the offenses, that's the thing, difficult part. But still, we chant. Okay, so the next verse. कर्माणि च यथा कालं यथा देशं यथा बलं यथोचित्तं यथा वित्तम् अकरोत् ब्रह्म सात्कृतं. Being self-satisfied, Maharaj Prthu executed his duties as perfectly as possible, according to the time and his situation, strength, and financial position. So in the Bhagavad Gita it says, for a self-realized person there is no duty to perform, but still he acts to also set an example for others. And so he was self-satisfied. He performed his duties as much as perfectly as possible, and of course he has to guide others as a king. And by his own example, he was also showing, and his situation, strength, and financial position. His only aim in all his activities was to satisfy the absolute truth. In this way, he duly acted. So, Prabhupada writes in one purport in the 7th canto that we can be determined when we are very eager to understand the absolute truth. So his activities, everything was to satisfy, understand, satisfy, like that, the absolute truth. In this way, he duly acted. So in all activities, if satisfaction of Krishna is the goal, then that's perfectly performed activity. Maharaj Prthu was a responsible monarch and he had to execute the duties of a Kshatriya, a king and a devotee at the same time. Being perfect in Lord's devotional service, he could execute his prescribed duties with complete perfection as befitted the time and circumstances and his financial strength and personal ability. In this regard, the word karmani in this verse is significant. Prthu Maharaj's activities were not ordinary, for they were in relationship with the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So he was not doing just some ordinary activities like building a career, like people do all this. But if there is no connection with Krishna, so then it is not very fruitful. Ishrama eva hi kevalam. Sri Rupa Goswami has advised that things which are favorable to devotional service should not be rejected. Nor should activity favorable for devotional service be considered ordinary work or fruitive activity. For example, an ordinary worker conducts business in order to earn money for his sense gratification. A devotee may perform the same work in exactly the same way, but his aim is to satisfy the Supreme Lord. Like Jayananda Prabhu, right? He was driving a taxi. And there are so many other taxi drivers also. They are also driving taxi. So apparently the activity looks same, or we say Arjuna and Duryodhana. Apparently the activity is the same. They are both fighting. but one is fighting for Krishna and another is fighting for his own selfish sense gratificatory interest. So consequently, his activities are not ordinary. That's why it is said, Vaishnavara Kriya Mudra Vijayana Bujai. You cannot understand the activities of a Vaishnava from an external point of view, because what their consciousness is, sometimes you don't understand why they are doing what they are doing. So, yeah, that's Prabhupada is also saying that same word here. Prthu Maharaj's activities were therefore not ordinary, but were all spiritual and transcendental, for his aim was to satisfy the Lord. Just as Arjuna, who was a warrior, had to fight to satisfy Krishna, Prthu Maharaj performed his royal duties as king for the satisfaction of Krishna. Indeed, whatever he did as emperor of the whole world was perfectly befitting a pure devotee. It is therefore said by a Vaishnava poet, Vaishnavera Kriya Mudra Vignena Bujhai. Bujhai means to understand. No one can understand the activities of a pure devotee. A pure devotee's activities may appear like ordinary activities, but behind them there is profound significance, the satisfaction of the Lord. In order to understand so any activity we are doing, we should think this Krishna likes me to do this activity and I am doing it for his pleasure. Of course, it has to be not like sinful activities, but yeah, so we can think, yeah, that I'm working to please Krishna, I'm doing this, I'm chanting to please Krishna. Krishna likes to hear me speak his name, so I'm doing it for. So that consciousness behind the activity is what changes the activity completely from material to spiritual. In order to understand the activities of a Vaishnava, one has to become very expert. Maharaj Prthu did not allow himself to function outside the institution of four Varnas and four Ashramas. Although as a Vaishnava he was a Paramhamsa, transcendental to all material activities. He remained at his position as a Kshatriya to rule the world, and at the same time remained transcendental to such activities by satisfying the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So by our own occupation, one can satisfy Krishna when we dedicate all our fruits and everything for his service. Concealing himself as a pure devotee, he externally manifested himself as a very powerful and dutiful king. In other words, none of his activities were carried out for his own sense gratification. Everything he did was meant for the satisfaction of the senses of the Lord. This is clearly explained in the next verse. So we are getting money by Krishna's grace. We should not use it for our sense gratification, but we can use it to serve Krishna. So then money is not then good or bad, it's good. So like that. Okay, so otherwise, any karma which is done binds us to this material world. Any activity which is done will create a good or bad result, and we'll have to take birth to enjoy or suffer the result of that activity. Rather, by acting in Krishna consciousness, then all our papa is also diminished. Papa and punya are both gone. As we say, we deposit in our akarma, our devotional account, then our pap and punya both are diminished. And when both are zero, there is no pap, there is no punya, and there is only devotional account, then you go back to the spiritual world. Because pap and punya brings you back into this material world to enjoy or suffer. But devotional account takes you out of this material world. So that is why we are supposed to do devotional activity. Yeah.
Prabhupada writes in the purport, concealing himself as a pure devotee, he externally manifested. Sometimes they say that bhajan should be hidden, but sometimes we say it should be visible sadhana. So, I mean, we do our sadhana as in open because we want to preach. That is our purpose, not to show to others, right? We are great devotees, but
And also, I mean, like if there's Mangla Arati and everybody comes, then it inspires, right? Everybody else also. So
Inspire. Hmm.
it inspires, like we are all sitting down and chanting together. Then there is inspiration. Then we're reading Bhagavatam, discussing Bhagavatam. So in Kali Yuga, it's difficult to do alone, mostly like that. So we get together with devotees and then we try to, use. Of course, we have our own time also. We can read on our own time and chant. And then there is Prabhupada wanted. That's why he was encouraging everybody. Like in Kumbh Mela also, right? He was saying that you should come for the morning program. Even though it was cold, he was insisting on that. So in one letter also he wrote, right, that if you are lax in your habits, then how will others feel? Like something like that. He said, you are the senior leader in the society, and if you are not like, it is not to like, yeah, show that I'm superior to others, but it is just to inspire. That's why Prabhupada himself took a bath and the cold, and he came, and then everybody, yad yad acharati shreshtas tattadevata rojana. So yeah, like Jada Bharat also he concealed, although he was a pure devotee. So that was different situation. Concealing himself as a pure devotee, he externally manifested himself as a very powerful and beautiful king. Yeah, I mean, he was not advertising, I think, that I'm a great devotee. Yeah, ultimately we want to become very inspired in bhakti. And we need to see, like, naturally it gives inspiration if you are in a very environment which is inspirational, then you will also feel inspired. So many years back, I was living in one temple, and then there was nobody coming for Manglarti. So it's like very difficult. Of course, we are doing it for Krishna's pleasure. So it is not that we need so many people to be there. We are serving Krishna, so we are chanting for Krishna. So Krishna is there anyway, and DT is there, Prabhupada is there, and like that. So we are doing for Krishna's pleasure. That's why Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur even said, if nobody comes, you speak to the four walls. So you can speak to yourself. Like that you can give Bhagavatam class, and even if there is nobody. So, okay. Any other comments you have on this? Like about concealing oneself as a devotee or not doing our.
Yeah, it is the consciousness behind the activity that matters.
Correct. Yeah, why we are doing that.
Mm.
So it is not to show ourselves as a great devotee, but it is to, yeah, if everybody comes and does it, then it is inspiring. Right? And we all want to be purified, so we need some inspiration to engage in Krishna's service.
Mhm. And if you're not developing taste in chanting, for example, then we don't understand why in the first place we are doing it. That is not clear. So we should, yeah, we should understand the why behind the activity.
Hmm. Why I
I
joined
want to
this
get
group?
out of this material world. I want to go back home, back to Godhead.
Yeah, we have to remind ourselves why we have come to this ISKCON society. It is for purification of heart. And as heart becomes purified, naturally love for Krishna will come out because it is there in everybody's heart. Right? All the anarthas are removed. Then with the soul in its pure state, everybody is a pure devotee. It is just that anarthas are there. So we just remove the anarthas, then the love is automatically going to manifest. Because it is Nitya Siddha Krishna Prem Sadhya Kabuno Shravanadi Shuddha Chitteka. It is already there in our heart, but it is not manifesting because of all the anarthas. Every soul is a lover of Krishna by in its pure situation. But so Chetodarpana Marjanam is the chanting of the holy name. Is the one. So when we chant the holy name, it is cleaning our heart. It is the more attentively we chant, the more our heart becomes cleansed. And more we chant with the desire to become purified and praying to Krishna, then the more the heart becomes cleansed also like that.
Yesterday, when you asked Kalakanta Prabhu what humility, he was talking about a salesman, how he talks up to the client always. I don't know if you noticed that, but
He said something I was not like,
yeah. So I heard this from Nitai Sevni Mataji, this example of the salesman. Like, the ladies go to a sari store and they ask the salesman, oh, show me this, show me this, show me this. And he's opening everything. And in his heart, he's becoming angry. Oh, this lady is not buying anything and she's opening everything. I have to, put it back again. But he's always in a humble mood because he's looking at the owner of the shop. The owner of the shop, if he sees that this salesman is not behaving properly with the client, then he'll be thrown out because his salary is coming from the owner of the shop, not from the customer. So for us, we have to deal with everybody knowing that Krishna is seeing me and he will give me the benefit and he will give me the results, right? Not this person. So in that way, we will always be humble with others no matter how they're behaving because Krishna is seeing me and my advancement is based on how Krishna is pleased with me. And of course, devotees have to be pleased with us, but knowing that, my behavior to the others is what Krishna is watching that.
yeah.
And if I take a humble position, then Krishna will be very, very pleased with me.
Yeah, like sometimes you may get a very irritable customer, right? He says, okay, open this, open that, open this. And sometimes you may get a good customer. He says, okay, I've seen enough, now I buy this and this. So with both, he has to be like patient. Of course, one is very pleasing to him because, yeah, he doesn't have to open all the saris and everything. He just, but even if it comes like that, then irritable, then also he has to behave nicely. That is where the test is also. So yeah. So no matter whoever it is, we have to be nice to them. So and Krishna is watching us, our dealings with others. Okay, okay. Because you don't know, right? First, okay, they say open this, open this. It's a very tough job, actually. Now I think about it. It's if you are in that
Yeah.
situation, it's a very tough
And the
job.
customers also misbehave.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like you have to they like we go to this Lohi Bazaar and we say, okay, open this kurta, this gives, show me that, show me that. Then now he has to put everything back. And there's not only one customer like that, others may also come and then he has to keep doing it. But that is how it is in Walmart also, right? People put something, then they put it in another aisle, then they have to put it back in the aisle where it belongs. And so they have to arrange the clothes, and so it's a difficult job. So, but sometimes see we see how another thing is how karma can put into such situations where we don't like to be in such situations where we are forced to do all this kind of thing. So, of course, then you start liking it also because you're doing it every day. So then it doesn't become like a like a difficult task, or you become used to. That's how it is. We become used to material life, this life of difficulties, birth, death, old age, and disease. And we think it's natural, yeah, this is happening. But really, somebody who doesn't like it will not settle for this kind of, you situation. So, no, I don't want this kind of situation. I want unadulterated happiness.
Mhm. And yesterday he was also saying that when we know that our exam is coming, always at the back of our mind, that's the thought that we have. So no matter what happens around us, people criticizing us, we are focusing on, like, my exam is coming, I have to prepare for it.
Mm, correct. Yeah.
At least I am like this. Like, if I'm given an assignment and due date in school, like, I would start from the first day. I have to work on it because I want a good grade, and so it's always there at the back of my mind.
Yeah, that's why you are a good student, you got good results, right?
Yeah, but our final exam is the time of death, and every day we have to be ready because it can be today, like we were saying. If today was our last day, we should be in a state that I'm a totally pure devotee, I'm ready to go back home, back to Godhead. That should be our state of mind today.
Yes, most of you are good students. So we have to chant every day, right? So we have to do everything. Like Dhruva Maharaj, when he had to go back to the spiritual world, he did the same activity, right? He did his sadhana, everything before he boarded the plane, something like that. It's described. So this is like, lines on a stone. Raghunath Das Goswami uh, was like lines on a stone. He would do the same thing every day. So same chanting for us, same reading Srimad Bhagavatam, same thing, sticking to the program. So that's very nice. We should do like that every day. Okay. Because always there will be some excuse, right? Maya will give so many excuses. Why I have not, I can't do this, why I can. Of course, now everybody's situation is different. But if we give excuses, we cannot chant every day. We can say, oh, today is like this, tomorrow it will be like that, day after will be like something else. So always something else will be going on. So we have to find some time to chant every day. So, and then if you want to do nicely, then we have to do like so. Phalam phalam brahmani sanyasya nirvisangaha samahitaha. Okay, I'll read this one verse. Karmadhyaksham cha manvana atmanam prakrite param. Maharaj Prithu completely dedicated himself to be an eternal servant of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, transcendental to material nature. Maharaj Prithu completely dedicated himself to be an eternal servant of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, transcendental to material nature. Consequently, all the fruits of his activities were dedicated to the Lord, and he always thought of himself as the servant of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who is the proprietor of everything. So, he was a pure devotee. And so, anyway, all the things will be left behind. So, why not, while we have it, why not dedicate it to service of the Lord? Then we'll get credit. Otherwise, it will go to somebody else like that. So, of course, many people in their last will, they will give their money to the Supreme, like some spiritual, this thing, like Krishna consciousness, some cause, some service. But if we can do it while we are living, also, that is very good. Of course, while living, we may need the money because there may be some emergency. So we can, but ultimately, everything should be dedicated to the Supreme Lord. The life and dedication of Maharaj Prithu in transcendental loving service of the Supreme Personality of Godhead serve as a good example of Karma Yoga. The term Karma Yoga is often used in Bhagavad Gita, and herein Maharaj Prithu is giving a practical example of what Karma Yoga actually is. The first requirement for the proper execution of Karma Yoga is given herein. Phalam Brahmani Sanyasya or Vinyasya. One must give up the fruits of his activities to the Supreme Brahman, Parabrahman, Krishna. Krishna says those who want to enjoy the fruits of their work are what is the word?
Misers.
Misers. By doing so, because we have earned some fruit of our work, but who helped us earn that fruit? It is because Krishna gave us the abilities to earn that thing. So, in that way, we can think. So, we can use, I mean, we are not supposed to live in poverty or anything like that, but we are not that, don't have to be that extremely renounced, although there are people who are like that, devotees, but we can live a comfortable, healthy life, have something for, and also contribute to the cause of Krishna consciousness movement. And it is said we should do welfare activities for others with our life, with our wealth, with our intelligence, with our words. Pranartha diya vacha. So, like now, so many people are coming and eating prasadam, right, in the temple. So somebody has sponsored the feast, and so some of the devotees are coming, some outsider people are coming, some students are coming. So they are sponsoring, so others are getting the benefit of eating, honoring prasadam. By doing so, one actually situates himself in the renounced order of life, sannyas. Anashita karma phalam, karyam karma karoti ya, sa sannyasi cha yogi cha. Na niragnir na chakriya. In the seventh, I think sixth chapter, first verse. One who is unattached to the fruits of his activities but uses them for the supreme, then is also sannyas. As stated in Bhagavad Gita 18.2, giving up the fruits of one's activities to the Supreme Personality of Godhead is called sannyas. So our time, our energy. Okay, here there is a comment. By concealing one can on the Skype chat. By concealing one can guard oneself to become proud. Yes. So doing devotional service silently can save us from becoming proud. As stated in Bhagavad Gita 18.2, giving up the fruits of one's activities to Supreme. Okay. So this is 18.2. Kamyanam karmanam nyasam sannyasam kavayo vidu sarva karma phalatyagam prahustyagam vichakshanaha. To give up the results of all activities is called renunciation. Tyag by the wise. And that state is called the renounced order of life by great learned man. Although he was living as a householder, Prthu Maharaj was actually in the renounced order of life, sannyas. This will be clearer in the following verse. The word nirvisangaha, uncontaminated, is very significant because Maharaj Prthu was not attached to the results of his activities. In this material world, a person is always thinking of proprietorship of everything he accumulates or he works for. When the fruit of one's activities are rendered to the service of the Lord, one is actually practicing karma yoga. Anyone can practice karma yoga, but it is especially easy for the householder who can install deity of the Lord in the home and worship him according to the methods of bhakti yoga. This method includes 9 items: hearing, chanting, remembering, serving, worshipping the deity, praying, carrying out orders, serving Krishna as friend, and sacrificing everything for him. Shravanam, Kirtanam, Vishnu, Smaranam, Padasevanam, Archanam, Vandanam, Dasyam, Sakhyam, Atmanivedanam. These methods of karma yoga and bhakti yoga are being broadcast all over the world by the International Society for Krishna Consciousness. So, anyone can learn these methods by simply following the examples of the members of the society. In one's home or in a temple, the deity is considered the proprietor of everything and everyone is considered the deity's eternal servant. The Lord is transcendental, for he is not part of this material creation. So many devotees, they name their house Radha Madhav Nivas or something like that. So that is like the residence of Radha Madhav. They have deities of Radha Madhav or Gaur Nitai or whatever form of Krishna. And then so they think that they own the house and I'm just living in the house as they are the owners and they have allowed me to live in the house. So like that. And then so in that house everything is done for the pleasure of the owner. The word prakriti param are used in this verse because everything within this material world is created by the external material energy of the Lord. But the Lord himself is not a creation of this material energy. The Lord is the supreme superintendent of all material creations as confirmed in Bhagavad Gita 9:10. Maya dakshena prakriti suyedes characharam hetunanena kvantiya jadada viparivartate. This material nature is working under my direction, O son of Kunti, producing all moving and unmoving beings, and by this rule, its rule, this manifestation is created and annihilated again and again. So Mahavishnu breathes in and out, and the material universe comes and goes, and everything is happening by the will of the Lord. This is also Krishna consciousness. That Krishna's will, without Krishna's will, not a blade of grass can move. So everything is happening. And Krishna is my well-wisher. So everything that is happening is for my good. Because he is my well-wisher and he has sanctioned it. So he has done it to purify me. We can say like that in the life of a devotee. Krishna acts to bring the devotee closer to him. Whether he humbles us or whatever it is. Like Indra was humbled, but it was to bring him closer to his constitutional position of being a servant of Krishna. So whatever Krishna does for the devotee is all good because he is the benefactor of the living entity.
तो grapes रखो स्कूल में डाल रहा है इसलिए चेन डाल रहा है
All material changes and material progress taking place by the wonderful interaction of matter are under the superintendence of the Supreme Personality of Godhead Krishna. If Krishna does not sanction, nothing can happen. Events in the material world are not taking place blindly. If one always remains a servant of Krishna and engages everything in his service, one is accepted as Jivan Mukta, a liberated soul, even during his lifetime within this material world. Because that is what you will do when you go back to the spiritual world. So, here you can become a Jivan Mukta. You don't have to wait till you get out of this body to be liberated. It just change of consciousness is liberation. Generally, liberation takes place after one gives up this body, but one who lives according to the example of Prthu Maharaj is liberated even in this lifetime. In Krishna consciousness, the results of one's activities depend on the will of the Supreme Person. Indeed, in all cases, the result is not dependent on one's own personal dexterity, means his skill set, but is completely dependent on the will of the Supreme. This is the real significance of Phalam Brahmani Sanyasya. A soul dedicated to the service of Lord should never think of himself as the personal proprietor or the superintendent. A dedicated devotee should prosecute his work according to the rules and regulations described in devotional service. The results of his activities are completely dependent on the supreme will of the Lord. So we try according to the will of the Lord and the will of the Lord's devotees. And then whatever the result comes, that is up to Krishna. So like we go out to distribute books, right, for instance, then whatever result comes, whether we sell a book or we don't, that is beyond our control. We have to just endeavor. And like if we endeavor to cook, how the bhoga will come out, we may not know how it will come out sometimes. Yeah, it may come out against our will. And still, but we tried our best. So we have to be satisfied with this thing that we are, of course, we can improve if there is something, we make mistakes, but we are trying our best. And then leave the rest to Krishna. Because that is all we can do, is try our best. Okay, so we can read Krishna book. But sometimes we don't try our best, so that is also, we should always keep endeavoring. Trying our best means endeavoring to do it like we are chanting. We should give it our best, or any service we are doing. Means to do it in the right consciousness, with great feeling. Bhajatam priti purvakam. So, so that is why we say preparation, right? In the 5 P's or whatever number of P's. One is preparation. So before you do the activity, you say, now I'm going to chant for the next 2 hours. I'm going to chant with very great, attention, trying to, with great respect, carefully, as if Krishna is sitting beside me sometimes. Or Krishna is there, he's coming in the form of his holy name. I'll remember this and I will chant very nicely. So, a predetermination for an activity. And then we lose our determination in the middle. Like Mahatma Prabhu was saying, right? Sometimes you lose your mood. Then he says, don't just keep moving your beats. Stop. Try to get that mood back again. And then again chant. So, so that is important. It is not just like moving our beats and pulling the counter beats to get to 16, but we want to do it nicely. So, of course, we may not be able to do nicely, but we are trying, we are endeavoring. So that is what pleases Krishna. Okay.
Prabhuji, I've got a question, Prabhuji. We do the 16 rounds. Nicely that, but the rest of the rounds is not as good as the 16 rounds which we are doing. That happens to me, but
Yeah. So he was saying that whenever you chant nicely. I'm just saying Mahatma Prabhu's what when he was here. So he said, you tell Shakespeare to write a bad play. He cannot write a bad play because Shakespeare is such a good writer that he will always write a good play. So similarly, of course, then the injunction is that Kirtaniya Sada Hari. So of course, when we are driving, we can chant. We are walking, we can chant. But we are doing other activities, we can chant also. And it may not be so attentively because we are also focused on doing the service or whatever. So, but he was saying like that if you, because that will form like a habit also, because if you do outside not properly, then that will form like a habit, and that may again interfere with your chanting nicely. So next day, so he says when you chant nicely. That's what he was saying. But I asked him this question, right? We are supposed to chant all the time. So, Kirtaniya Sadahari. I don't know, what did he say? Did he say the same? I forgot.
Yes, he said good practice leads to always doing good japa.
Yeah.
So,
So, whenever we chant, we should chant nicely. That's what. But if you can chant off the beats, right? I mean, you can always chant. And he was saying like that. So, now we may agree, you may agree, not agree, that's up to you. But it makes sense also to some degree. Yeah, that like we cannot, like if you're playing harmonium or violin nicely, you tell play violin badly. No, I don't know how to play violin badly, I always play nice. He was giving that kind of example. So yeah.
thank you, Prabhuji.
In 12th chapter, Prabhu, in this verse that you last verse you read is talking about that one has to give up the activities, right, of your actions. But in the 12th chapter, Krishna has given the like a list of instructions, right? That you, if you can fix your mind upon me, so you have to work, right? Work for me. But you can. But here, in that verse, is not saying that you will come to me. He says that you will come to the perfect stage if you just try to work for me. And then he says that if you and try to give up all the results of your work, and try to be self-situated. But he said that and then it's a process that and one can able to you know do this practice, and then knowledge, cultivation of knowledge, and then and I think then one can able to fix the mind. And in that verse he says that you can come to me, or you will live in me, may ever, if I'm not wrong, that is the words I think. May eva mana adatso may buddhim niveshaya.
That is the first.
Niveshayasi.
Yeah, that is the first thing he says. Maya, always think of me. And in the, yeah,
Yeah, so I think they are in that series of the verse. He's saying that it can work for me, and then so we can, maybe immediately we can do, so we can follow the process. Krishna has said in that 12th chapter.
yeah. If you can't do this, then do this. If you can't do this, then do this. That's what you're saying, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So, yeah, he says by working for me, you'll come to the perfect stage. Means perfect stage is remembering Krishna always. So, so that is yeah. Yeah, so wherever we are at, we can always do some work for Krishna. And then he says, okay, if you can't work for me, then he does not say in that there is a result. He just says, just be self-satisfied. Because it is not in directly connection with Krishna, but it will purify the heart because you are giving away the results of your activities. So you are becoming selfless so then slowly your purification of heart will happen.
In one of the verse, he also talking about that. I think Shreyo hi Jnanam Abhyas is something that if you cannot take the practice, then engage yourself in the knowledge. Better than knowledge is meditation, and renunciation is better than meditation of
Yeah, that's the most
renunciation of fruits of action, right? And in
12.12.
that you can, 12th chapter.
12.12. I think that's the most confusing verse. It goes around in a circle.
Yeah, 10 piece is talking about Nishkam Karma Yoga.
Okay, so we'll read Deliverance of Shishupal. Okay,
we read this.
we read this. Okay, sorry. Why Duryodhan felt insulted?
King Yudhishthira was known as Ajatashatru, or a person who had no enemy. Therefore, when all the men, demigods, kings, sages, and saints saw the successful termination of the Rajasuya Yagna performed by King Yudhishthira, they were very happy. That Duryodhana alone was unhappy was astonishing to Parikshit, and therefore he requested Shukdev Goswami to explain this. Shukdev Goswami said, "My dear King Parikshit, your grandfather King Yudhishthira was a great soul. His congenial disposition attracted everyone to be his friend, and therefore he was known as Ajatashatru, one who never created an enemy. He engaged all the members of the Kuru dynasty in taking charge of different departments for the management of the Rajasuya sacrifice. For example, Bhimsen was put in charge of the kitchen department, Duryodhan in charge of the supplies department, Sahadev in charge of the reception department, Nakula in charge of the store department, and Arjuna in charge of looking after the comforts of the elder persons. The most astonishing feature was that Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, took charge of washing the feet of all the incoming guests. The queen, the goddess of fortune, Draupadi, was in charge of administering the distribution of food, and because Krishna was famous for giving charity, Karna was famous for charity, he was put in charge of the charity department. In this way, Satyaki, Vikarna, Hardikya, Vidura, Santardan, and Bhurishrava, the son of Bahalika, were all engaged in different departments for managing the affairs of the Rajasuya sacrifice. They were all so bound in loving affection for King Yudhishthir that they simply wanted to please him.
Next.
So, I mean, the Yudhishthir is called a Jat Shatru, not that he doesn't have any Shatru. He doesn't consider anybody his enemy. But there are people who are envious of him, like the Kauravas, right?
Yes.
Mm-hmm. And he placed them in different. So it's amazing how Duryodhana is participating. He's coming to the sacrifice. He's assigned a service also. Bhim is assigned kitchen, and Duryodhana is assigned the supplies department. According to their qualities, they have been given certain services. And Krishna has taken the service of washing the feet of all the guests. Most humble service. So Krishna is showing by example. And like the six Goswami also, Dhira, Dhira, Jana, Priya, Priya Karo. Everybody would love them, would have affection for them. So same with Yudhishthira Maharaj. After Shishupal died by the mercy of Lord Krishna and merged into the spiritual existence, and after the end of the Rajasuya Yagna, when all the friends, guests, and well-wishers had been fully honored and rewarded, King Yudhishthir went to bathe in the Ganges. The city of Hastinapur stands today on the bank of the Yamuna, and the statement of Srimad Bhagavatam that King Yudhishthir went to bathe in the Ganges indicates, therefore, that during the time of the Pandavas, the river Yamuna was also known as the Ganges. Same as Parikshit Maharaj, right? He was sitting at the bank of the Ganges to hear Bhagavatam. At that time, river Yamuna was known as Ganges. While the king was taking the Avabrat bath, different musical instruments vibrated such as mridangas, conch shells, panava, drums, kettle drums and bugles, and the ankle bells of the dancing girls jingled. Many groups of professional singers sang as veenas, flutes, gongs and cymbals were played, and thus a tumultuous sound vibrated in the sky. The princely guests from many kingdoms like Srinjaya, Kamboja, Kuru, Kekaya and Goshal were present with their different flags and gorgeously decorated elephants, chariots, horses and soldiers. All of them passed in a procession with King Yudhishthira in the forefront. The executive members who had performed the sacrifice, the priests, religious ministers and brahmanas all loudly chanted the Vedic hymns. The demigods and the inhabitants of Pitralok and Gandharvalok, as well as many sages, showered flowers from the sky. The men and women of Hastinapur or Indraprasth, their bodies smeared with scents and floral oils, were nicely dressed in colorful garments and decorated with garlands, jewels and ornaments. Enjoying the ceremony, they threw on one another liquid substance like water, oil, milk, butter and yogurt. Some even smeared these on each other's bodies. In this way they enjoyed the occasion. The professional prostitutes jubilantly smeared these liquid substances on the bodies of the men, and the men reciprocated in the same way. All the liquid substances had been mixed with turmeric and saffron, and the color was a lustrous yellow. So everybody was celebrating Yudhishthira Maharaj becoming this. He became the king of the whole world, right, with this Rajasuya Yagna.
Mataji, what was Duryodhan supplying, Mataji?
Supplier department. He was put in service in that department.
Okay. Because I heard that he used to give the dhan also, to the priests and whoever had come. So he used to give that dhan also because he had that. I heard that. Thank you, Mataji.
Karna was in the charitable department because he is very famous for charity. So at this point there was no enmity, they were all united, right? It looks like.
But Duryodhana was not feeling happy, right? So that's the question of Parikshit Maharaj.
Correct.
The only person that was not happy was Duryodhana.
So something happened after that Rajasuya sacrifice. that he felt insulted at that time, or from the beginning he was not happy that Duryodhana was happy?
They were always envious of the Pandavas from the beginning, but I
Yeah,
guess this would be a yeah, when he would feel insulted.
tipping point. Yeah, this would be like a tipping point, right? That's
Mhm.
yeah, because he tried to poison Bhim, right? He gave the cake and all these things to Duryodhana before, only when he was younger.
Mhm.
So he didn't like
Yeah,
it.
when Draupadi laughed at him, it ignited his anger more, I think.
Hmm. Yeah. Okay. So next three paragraphs, would you like to read?
I can read.
Okay. Go
In order to observe the great ceremony, many wives of the demigods had come in different airplanes, and they were visible in the sky. Similarly, the queens of the royal family, gorgeously decorated and surrounded by bodyguards, arrived on different palanquins. During this time, Lord Krishna, the maternal cousin of the Pandavas, and his special friend Arjuna were both throwing the substances on the bodies of the queens. The queens become bashful, but at the same time their beautiful smiling brightened their faces. Because of the liquid because of the liquids thrown on their bodies, the saris covering them become completely wet. The different parts of their beautiful bodies, particularly their breast and their waist, become partially visible because of the wet cloth. The queens brought buckets of the same liquid substance and with syringes sprinkled them on the bodies of their brothers in law. As they engaged in such jubilant activities, their hair fell loose and flowers decorating their bodies began to fall. When the Lord Krishna, Arjuna, and the queens were thus engaged in these jubilant activities, persons who are not clean in heart were agitated by lustful desires. In other words, lustful desires. In other words, such behavior between pure males and females is enjoyable, but it makes persons who are mentally contaminated become lustful. King Yudhishthir in a gorgeous chariot, yoked to excellent horses, was present there along with his queens, including Draupadi, and their features were so beautiful that it appeared as if the great Rajasuya sacrifice were standing there in person, along with the different function of the sacrifice. Following the Rajasuya sacrifice, there was Vedic ritualistic duty known as Patni Samyaj. This sacrifice, which one performs along with one's wife, was also duly conducted by the priest of King Yudhishthir. As Queen Draupadi and King Yudhishthir were taking their Avrit bath, the citizens of Hastinapur as well as the demigods began to beat on drums and blow trumpets out of feeling of happiness. And there was a shower of flowers from the sky. When the king and the queens finished their bath in the Ganges, all the other citizens, consisting of all the varnas or caste, the Brahmanas, Kshatriya, Vaishyas, Shudras, took their bath in Ganges. Bathing in the Ganges is recommended in the Vedic literatures because of such bathing one is freed from all sinful reaction. This is still current in India, especially at particularly auspicious moments. At such times, millions of people bathe in the Ganges. Yeah, everybody was having a good time, enjoying in this yagna. And it looks like that in that time, the demigods come to the earth, right? They're interplanetary. One can come to the demigods. It is says that, but now it says that, right? Nobody, you have to be qualified to go to the higher planetary system. But that time, it looks like the demigod can come and participate in this Rajashu Yagya. And Arjuna also went to the, so I think it was possible that time. And yes, the Ganges, taking bath in the Ganges, one can free from the sinful reaction is also going on. Um,
Okay, so next we can read somebody else. What can you
I can read. After taking his bath, King Yudhishthira dressed in a new silken cloth and wrapper and decorated himself with valuable jewelry. The king not only dressed himself and decorated himself but also gave clothing and ornaments to all the priests and others who had participated in the yagnas. In this way he worshipped them all. He constantly worshipped his friends, his family members, his relatives, his well-wishers, and everyone present. And because he was a Vaishnava, a great devotee of Lord Narayan, he knew how to treat everyone well. The Mayavadi philosophers endeavor to see everyone as God is an artificial attempt at oneness, but a Vaishnava or a devotee of Lord Narayan sees every living entity as part and parcel of the Supreme Lord. Therefore, Vaishnava's treatment of other living entities is on the absolute platform. As one cannot treat one part of his body differently from another part because they all belong to the same body, a Vaishnava does not see a human being as distinct from an animal because in both he sees the soul and the super soul seated together. When everyone was refreshed after bathing and was dressed in silken clothing with jeweled earrings, flower garlands, turbans, long wrappers, and pearl necklaces, they looked altogether like the demigods from heaven. This was especially true of the women, who were very nicely dressed. Each wore a golden belt around the waist. They were all smiling, with spots of tilak and curling hair scattered here and there. This combination was very attractive. Those persons who had participated in the Rajasuya sacrifice, including the most cultured priests, the Brahmanas, who had assisted the citizens of the Varnas, and the kings, demigods, sages, saints, and citizens of Pitralok, were all very much satisfied by the dealings of King Yudhishthira, and at the end they happily departed for their residences. While returning to their homes, they talked of the dealings of King Yudhishthira, and even after continuous talk of his greatness, they were not satiated, just as one may drink nectar over and over again and never be satisfied. After the departure of all the others, Maharaj Yudhishthira restrained the inner circle of his friends, including Lord Krishna, not allowing them to leave. Lord Krishna could not refuse the request of the king. Krishna therefore sent back all the heroes of the Yadu dynasty, Samba and others. All of them returned to Dwarka, and Lord Krishna personally remained to give pleasure to the king. So everybody was satisfied in this yagna. Yudhishthira Maharaj was taking care of everybody. And he was seeing everybody equally, like how Pandita Samadarshana, animal or a man, he sees super soul in everybody. The Vaishnava treats everyone well. So everybody was, they couldn't stop glorifying him. They were not satiated. And everybody, so the Yudhishthira Maharaj was not allowing anybody to leave also, like his inner circle of friends, Lord Krishna. He stopped him. But all of the others, they returned. Okay.
Krishna's son also returned.
Mm.
Okay. Krishna could not refuse the request, so he just stayed there. Yes. Okay. So the next.
I can read, Prabhuji. Which one, Prabhuji? In the...
Yeah.
Can you...
Yes, from there, in the material world.
Yeah. In the material world, everyone has a particular type of desire to be fulfilled, but one is never able to fulfill this desires to his full satisfaction. But King Yudhishthira, because of his unflinching devotion to Krishna, could fulfill all his desires successfully by the performance of the Rajasuya sacrifice. From the description of the Rajasuya Yagna, such a function appears to be a great ocean of opulent desires. Such an ocean is not possible for an ordinary man to cross. Nevertheless, by the grace of Lord Krishna, King Yudhishthira was able to cross it very easily, and thus he became freed from all anxiety. When Duryodhana saw that Maharaja Yudhishthira had become very famous after performing the Rajasuya Yagna and was fully satisfied in every respect, he began to burn with the fire of envy because his mind was always poisonous. For one thing, he envied the imperial palace constructed by the demon Maya for the Pandavas. The palace was excellent in its puzzling artistic workmanship and was befitting the poison of great prince, kings of leaders of the demons. In that in that great palace, the Pandavas lived with their family members, and Queen Draupadi served her husbands very peacefully. And because in those days Lord Krishna was also there, the palace was also decorated by his thousands of queens. When the queens with their heavy breasts and thin waists moved within the palace, and their ankle bells rang very melodiously with their movement, the whole palace appeared more opulent than the heavenly kingdom, because a portion of their breast was sprinkled with saffron powder. The pearl necklaces on their breasts appeared reddish with their beautiful earrings and flowing hair. The queens Prabhuji, can you highlight that? The queens appeared very attractive. After seeing such beauties in the palace of King Yudhishthira, Duryodhan was envious. He was especially envious and lustful upon seeing the beauty of Draupadi, because he had cherished a special attraction for her from the very beginning of her marriage with the Pandavas. In the marriage selection assembly of Draupadi, Duryodhana had also been present, and along with other princes, he had been very much captivated by the beauty of Draupadi, but he failed to achieve her. Once upon a time, King Yudhishthira was sitting on his golden throne in the palace constructed by the demon Maya. His four brothers and other relatives, as well as his great well-wisher Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, were present, and the material opulence of King Yudhishthira seemed no less than that of Lord Brahma. When he was sitting on the throne surrounded by his friends, and the reciters were offering prayers to him in the form of nice songs, Duryodhana came to the palace with his younger brothers. Duryodhana was decorated with a helmet, and he carried a sword in his hand. He was always in an envious and angry mood, and therefore on a slight provocation he spoke sharply with the doorkeepers and became angry. By the craftsmanship of the demon Maya, the palace was so decorated in different places that one who did not know the tricks would consider water to be land and land to be water. Duryodhana was illusioned by this craftsmanship, and when crossing water, thinking it to be land, he fell in. When Duryodhana, out of his foolishness, had thus fallen, the queens enjoyed the incident by laughing. King Yudhishthira could understand the feeling of Duryodhana, and he tried to restrain the queens. But Lord Krishna indicated that King Yudhishthira should not restrain them from enjoying the incident. Krishna desired that Duryodhana be fooled in that way, and that all of them enjoy his foolish behavior. When everyone laughed, Duryodhana felt very insulted, and his bodily hair stood up in anger. Being thus insulted, he immediately left the palace, bowing his head. He was silent and did not protest. When Duryodhana left in such an angry mood, everyone regretted the incident, and King Yudhishthira also was very sorry. But despite all these occurrences, Krishna was silent. He did not say anything against or in favor of the incident. It appears that Duryodhana had been put into illusion by the supreme will of Lord Krishna. And this was the beginning of the enmity between the two sects of the Kuru dynasty. This appeared to be a part of Krishna's plan in his mission to decrease the burden of the world. So first, the Rajasuya Yagna was one of the most opulent yagnas which was performed by Yudhishthira, where he became the emperor of the whole world. And next, that Duryodhana was envious, always envious of the Pandavas. So this happened when when all the other queens were having. They saw him fall in the water and they could not control. And this made Duryodhana more envious of seeing this insult. So Krishna, he he took this opportunity and he told he should not restrain this enjoyment of the queen. So Duryodhana left in a huff and puff and he was so this was the most biggest enmity that the enviousness started in his heart.
It's interesting that Yudhishthira is trying to restrain them,
And Krishna was.
Krishna is saying, no, you can enjoy the incident. You can laugh at Duryodhana. Because he wanted to, as Prabhupada says, this is the will of Lord Krishna.
Lord Krishna, yes.
Yeah, it's difficult, like how why Krishna.
He was, yes. Duryodhana was always inimical towards Pandavas. So we see that it seems like that if we don't like someone, then even a small thing, again, act as a catalyst to to aggravate your more anger towards that. Because he already disliked that person. So if anything, it's like a simple thing. If anybody fall, it's like everybody was enjoying it. There's nothing like a big incident to get like something your ego get hurt, right? But instead of just let it go, he take it as a insult. So if someone dislike the person, is small thing, it's big thing.
Also, he had lust for Draupadi in his heart. So, technically, a devotee would not do that, laugh at others. So, also, it is a lesson for us that to not offend is like an offense also. If we understand that the other person is not a friendly person, we can joke with them. We cannot joke with them, and that joking will insult them.
Yeah.
And Lal Govind Prabhu was saying that Draupadi was very beautiful, and that's what caused this thing to happen. She being disrobed. Beauty lands one in trouble. Not that it's her fault, but that he was saying this in the last time that he came. I don't know if you remember.
Maybe he also wanted to insult, right? Because Duryodhana felt insulted here, it says, when everyone laughed. So he also wanted to insult Draupadi.
Yeah, because she laughed specifically. And he had lust for her anyways.
And so she wanted to insult her. And so
So in lust, we people become wanted to take revenge. But if there is a love between, if someone laugh at you, it doesn't like nobody go to take a revenge, because he was lusty, filled with lusty desires. That's why he just how she can do this.
Yeah. So that's why in this world, if in the boy and the girl they don't get married and the girl chooses someone else, the boy will throw acid at the girl because he had lust for her. He wanted her for his enjoyment. And so if that doesn't happen according to his plan, then he will try to attack her or maybe kill her.
Okay, so one more statement. So this is King Parikshit had inquired from Sukdev Goswami why Duryodhana was not satisfied after the termination of great Rajasvasya, and thus it was explained. So the reason was because of the insult. He was not satisfied.
Sorry, Prabhuji, I didn't see that. The sentence. I thought
that's okay. Yeah, it was only 3 paragraphs. So
sorry.
So this ends the why Duryodhana felt insulted. So okay, so it was good. We ended there, and then we can begin with the 76th chapter. So I'm going to bookmark this. We'll read the book, that other book. We'll read the book Dancing White Elephant. So which page we are?
We are on page 158.
158.
So the guest is saying the soul will not merge into Krishna's light. Prabhupada, the soul is changing bodies. Why are you talking of merging? You are changing your body. I am changing my body, but we are individuals. I may change to a dog's body. You may change to a demigod's body. That is going on. According to one's karma, one is changing bodies. Now, when you are fully Krishna conscious, a change of body will also take place. But that new body will be spiritual. As long as you get material bodies, you have to change one after another, one after another, one after another. For example, if you purchase something cheap, it goes wrong and you have to purchase a new thing. But if you purchase a real nice thing, it will continue for good. Similarly, as long as you are getting a cheap body, a material body, you have to change. And as soon as you get the most valuable spiritual body, there will be no more change. One who does not know what is Krishna thinks, what Krishna thinks that someone is greater than Krishna. But anyone who knows Krishna as he is gets that permanent body immediately simply by knowing Krishna. Janma karma cha me divyam evam yo veti tatvata tatva deham punarjanma naiti mameti so Arjuna. One who knows the transcendental nature of my appearance and activities does not, upon leaving the body, takes his birth again in the material world, but attains my eternal abode, Arjuna. So you simply have to understand Krishna, then the whole problem is solved. Try to understand Krishna. Krishna can be understood simply by devotional service. Krishna says, Bhaktya mam abhijanati, and that begins with surrender to Krishna. Sarva dharman paritajya. Whatever nonsense you have known, throw it away. Simply surrender to Krishna. That is the beginning of Bhagavad Gita. While speaking about Krishna consciousness primarily to Indians, Srila Prabhupada also touched one young American who was touring India. The man began to travel with us and sometimes he would sit next to me when we honored Prasad. Krishna is definitely God, he would exclaim. Otherwise, how could such a lowly creature as me get such nice prasad every day? Krishna is truly merciful. After associating with us for some days, the young man had learned enough of the philosophy to pose a question, and one morning he asked Srila Prabhupada, if all service is absolute, why do we have to chant 16 rounds? Prabhupada answered, but somehow the young man was not satisfied and repeatedly pressed his point. Finally, Prabhupada sat erect and in a grave voice said, why chant 16 rounds? Because the Supreme Personality of Godhead wants you to. Even then the young man persisted, why is any one activity of Krishna consciousness better than another? I think Sunil Prabhu was asking me this question. If so many things are non-different from Krishna, like we say Bhagavatam is non-different from Krishna, and so why do we stress on chanting, saying the holy name is non-different from Krishna? Take for example chanting 16 rounds. Suppose you have served Krishna 23 hours and in the last hour you can either finish your round or enroll someone as a life member of ISKCON. Instead of chanting your 16 rounds, so this person was asking, Prabhupada, you cannot concoct. You have to abide by the orders of Krishna. Young man, then why? Prabhupada, there is no question of why. It is the order of Krishna's representative. You have to abide by that. You cannot say why. As soon as you say why, then you are not fully surrendered. Surrender means there is no why. It is ordered. It has to be done. That's all. Young man. Suppose, for example, last night I was chanting, then I thought, oh, I am not concentrating on the chanting anymore. Now I should go to sleep. Prabhupada. Therefore, we have prescribed rules for chanting. You must finish 16 rounds, then go to sleep. You finish 16 rounds and sleep the whole day. I have no objection. Young man. But then, Prabhupada, there is no then. If you are so addicted to sleeping, you simply chant 16 rounds and sleep the whole day. But then also don't take food. Don't get up for taking prasadam. Now I have to honor prasadam. Let me eat sumptuously and then again sleep. Still, if you cannot do anything else, simply chant 16 rounds, take prasadam and sleep. It is a special prerogative for you. Subsequently, while studying Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita, I found a philosophical truth underlying Srila Prabhupada's humorous reply. The basic principle of regulative devotional service is to always remember Krishna and never forget him. Smartavya satatam Vishnur vismartavya na jatuchit sarve vidhi nisheda syur etayor eva kinkara. Lord Krishna should always be remembered and never forgotten at any time. All the rules and prohibitions in the Shastras are subservient to these two principles. Commenting on this verse from Padma Puran, Srila Prabhupada writes, there are many regulative principles in the Shastras and directions given by the spiritual master. These regulative principles should act as servants of the basic principle, that is, one should always remember Krishna and never forget him. This is possible when one chants the Hare Krishna mantra. Therefore, one must strictly chant the Hare Krishna mantra 24 hours daily. One may have other duties to perform under the direction of the spiritual master, but he must first abide by the spiritual master's order to chant a certain number of rounds. In our Krishna consciousness movement, we have recommended that the neophyte chant at least 16 rounds. This chanting of 16 rounds is absolutely necessary if one wants to remember Krishna and not forget him. Of all the regulative principles and the spiritual master's order to chant at least 16 rounds is most essential. Although Prabhupada had instructed the young man not to ask why, here he answers the question. We may have other important duties, but the basic principle is to always remember Krishna. And to always remember Krishna, we must regularly chant 16 rounds. As Krishna's empowered representative, Prabhupada understood the necessity for us to chant 16 rounds. But was it true, as he has said, that he would have no objection if the young man did nothing more than chant 16 rounds, eat and sleep? When we chant, we are addressing Krishna and his energy. If Krishna were to respond and ask, yes, you called, what do you want? What would we reply? A new house, an imported car, a better job? No. A pure devotee will not ask for anything material. He or she will ask only for service to Krishna and Krishna's devotees. O Lord Krishna, O Srimati Radharani, please engage me in your devotional service. You want to continue, Prabhu?
I can read, Mataji. Can I read?
Yes.
Yeah. Srila Prabhupada knew that if the young man chanted 16 rounds every day, Krishna would hear his prayer and fulfill his desire. And Krishna would give him more and more service at the lotus feet of his dear representative, Srila Prabhupada. While Srila Prabhupada was giving his Srimad Bhagavatam lectures, Kausalya would wash the temple floor. One morning during his lecture, he expressed his appreciation while she at the other end of the room was scrubbing. Just see this girl, he exclaimed. This is first-class service. Prabhupada often complimented Kausalya on her service. But one day he said, every morning you are washing the floor so nicely, but this morning you are washing the floor like a crow takes a bath. He shook his hand as if flicking water about. You do not know how to wash the floor? I am going to show you. And then he came down from his Vyasasana and walked to the other end of the room, followed by all the devotees. Where is your bucket? He asked. Kausalya brought it over. Then he asked for a rag, and she gave him hers. And then he crouched down and started scrubbing. This is how you wash the floor, he said, with lots of water. And you do it a section at a time in 2 stages. First with a wet rag and then with a wrung rag. He handed Kausalya the wet rag and said, "Now wring it out." We were astonished to see Prabhupada washing the floor, demonstrating and instructing Kausalya how it should be done. He repeated the process, washing a section of the floor and then drying it, careful not to touch the clean area with his feet. "See," he said, "this is expert. That is expert." "Thank you, Srila Prabhupada," Kausalya said and went back to her task. As she later reflected, when Prabhupada squatted down on the floor, I was awestruck. When he looked up at me and asked for the rag, he smiled and had a mischievous twinkle in his eyes. I stood by his side working as his assistant, handing him the rags, wetting them and wringing them out. He was showing me that no matter how exalted we may be, we are all servants of Radha and Krishna. It was not about how to wash a floor. I had been doing that every day, but I felt as though he decided to share a special moment with me to thank me for my service to Radha and Madhav. I don't really think he was teaching me how to wash the floor. He was showing me love and appreciation. During the question and answers after his talk one morning on February 22nd, Srila Prabhupada expressed his appreciation for the sincerity of his Western disciples and explained why he took to Krishna consciousness and accepted the Bhagavad Gita so easily. "Prabhupada, these boys and girls from Europe and America have been benefited because they have no concoctions within their brain. They have been presented Krishnas to Bhagavan Swayam. Lord Sri Krishna is the original personality of Godhead. And they are, I mean to say, ordered to follow certain principles. And they have faithfully done it, and they have taken Krishna consciousness. They have no hodgepodge ideas, and that is the only constitution by which they are improving so quickly. Within 4 years, they have become such nice Vaishnavas that in our country also the Vaishnavas are feeling ashamed by this sincere behavior." Guest, what makes them sincere? Prabhupada, what is that sincere? Sincerity means they have accepted the right thing. Krishna says, "Sarva dharman parityajya mamekam sharanam vraja." Abandon all varieties of religion and just surrender unto me. They have accepted sincerity. They have nothing within the brains that there was so many other kinchanas things, other kinchanas and other kinchanas. You should take the Bhagavad Gita, which was spoken 5,000 years ago. Any section, any mission, they are referring to the Bhagavad Gita. They cannot avoid the Bhagavad Gita. Just voices on an objection. Prabhupada, then why not directly Bhagavad Gita? Why are you going here and there? The Bhagavad Gita is the essence. So why are you going here and there? Take Bhagavad Gita as it is and you will be benefited. Should I read the thing, Mataji? Should I read one more paragraph? I'll finish this, I think. Hare Krishna, Mataji.
You can read.
One day, Srila Prabhupada went to visit Sri Hanuman Prasad Podar. Mr. Podar had been seriously ill for some time, but he was able to sit up and speak with Prabhupada for a half an hour or so. He had founded and edited Kalyana magazine to present the spiritual glory of Ramayana and the Mahabharata, and had dedicated his life to make available great works such as the Ramayana, Mahabharata, Puranas and Upanishads, translated in Hindi for the common people at affordable prices. In 1927, he started publishing and editing Kalyana monthly magazine in Hindi with a view to the betterment of life and the well-being of all. Kalyana published special issues on various Puranas and Upanishads and on many more subjects related to Hindu cultures and religion. Even a poor man could afford a copy of Podar's inexpensive Hindi Bhagavad Gita translation, and they had been distributed by the millions. Mr. Podar had been a well-wisher to Srila Prabhupada in 1962 when Prabhupada had come to him in Gorakhpur and shown him his manuscript for the first volume of Srimad Bhagavatam. Appreciating the importance of the work, Mr. Podar had helped Prabhupada get a donation for its printing from the Delhi industrialist Jai Dayal Dalmia. Now, nearly 10 years later, Prabhupada showed Mr. Podar his recent publications, Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Teaching of Lord Chaitanya, The Nectar of Devotion, and a copy of Back to Godhead. Mr. Podar was impressed by Prabhupada's work and the two exchanged their sincere appreciation of each other's contributions. Hanuman Prasad Podar was my grandfather. Suryakant Fogla remembered. He was very much ill at the time Prabhupada came here to meet him in his bedroom upstairs. There are certain things which cannot be explained, but they were talking in the language of their eyes. The appreciation from both the sides could easily be seen and appreciated by the persons who were present. A lot of Prabhupada's disciples were there, and everyone was almost in tears when these two saints, great people, met and talked to each other. They were talking about the spiritual world and they were praising each other for their deeds. My grandfather also was saying that what Prabhupada has done, it is unforgettable for anyone of the world because to take our Indian culture to Western countries, the credit entirely goes to our beloved Prabhupada. And he was the only person who took Radha Krishna and the whole name outside in such a way that nobody else could and will be able to in the future. Hamsaduta, one of the authorities in India, wanted to start his world traveling Sankirtana party and asked if I could come with him. Privately, I wanted to stay and travel with Srila Prabhupada, but Prabhupada agreed to Hamsaduta's request. So, though I was disappointed, I thought Prabhupada knows the best. Hare Krishna.
Okay, so now Bombay. So there are nice pictures here. Indira Gandhi. Okay, so next we'll read Bombay.
Yes.
You want to read or should I read? Or
You can read them.
okay, from Gorakhpur, I proceeded by train with a small Sankirtan party. They were in Gorakhpur. They met Hanuman Prasad Poddar, and Hansaduta had to go. I mean, Giriraj Maharaj had to go with Hansaduta because he requested that he travel with him. So from Gorakhpur he left. I proceeded by train with a small Sankirtan party led by Hansaduta to Agra and Aligarh, where we received a telegram from Srila Prabhupada calling us to Bombay for a big Pandal program. So from Agra and Aligarh, they got a telegram that they should come to Bombay. Shyam Sundar had returned to Prabhupada that he had secured Cross Maidan, the middle section of the esplanade, a 150-acre park that ran through the center of the city, bordering the Churchgate railway station and near Veer Nariman Road, which carried Bombay's heaviest pedestrian traffic from March 25 through April 4th. So they got a very prime location where a lot of people were coming, and that was 150-acre big park. So Cross Maidan. So it was the perfect place for a festival, but he'd need more help to pull it off. So he had wired Prabhupada. So Shyam Sundar had gotten this right. Yeah. So he had gotten this big land, and he needed some help to get this festival. So he said, I need some help, Prabhupada. Must cancel unless we get more men. Prabhupada had wired back on February 28th, sending 7 strong men immediately. Proceeding, there is no question of cancelling Cross Maidan. So Shyam Sundar said we should cancel this event if there is no manpower. And Prabhupada says, no, I'm sending you 7 strong people. We had about 3 weeks to get everything ready. Remembered Shyam Sundar, who was in charge of the Pandal program. So 3 weeks before this program begins. We divided up the work. Tamal Krishna would take charge of physical installations, setting up the pandal, cooking, and book stall arrangements. Giriraj and Rishi Kumar would sell ads for the souvenir and be responsible for the finances. Madhu Dvisa would be program director for the stage and daily programs. I would supervise advertising, Yamuna would take care of the DTs, Gurudas knew Bombay and would assist in all departments. Collectively, we threw ourselves into the Cross Maidan project and it took on a life of its own. It was bigger than anything else we had ever done. So they were going to set a pandal there and everything else so that people could come and hear Kirtan and Katha. In addition to collecting and arranging for the deities, Yamuna also cleaned all our quarters. While the rest of us ventured out into Bombay, she would stay back and clean the whole place for hours. And while she cleaned, she sang. She really put her whole heart into it. Years later, when I asked her about this, she said that Srila Prabhupada had put greater emphasis on Bhagavad Marg because he wanted his books produced so that they would be there for all time. He wanted his books distributed, and the income from the sales would support the expansion of the mission. So many temples were bought because of book distribution. There was so much book distribution going on, and many churches, and money came from book distribution. And thus he didn't have much time to personally train disciples on the Pancharatrika Vidhi, the principles of cleanliness. But he did train her. She explained that he would teach each servant about the importance and standards of cleanliness according to the servant's capacity to understand. And he had trained her very strictly. She often cleaned his 4-tired cooker, for instance. And if he found a black spot on the bottom of any of its section, he would chastise her. This is not Vaishnava. No Vaishnava will ever leave a black spot on any of the pots in the kitchen. His cooker was always to shine like gold. So she was cleaning Prabhupada's cooker. Sometimes it will get burned, right? If Srila Prabhupada had had the time, I'll just finish this page. Yamuna said he would have trained all his disciples in both Pancharatrika Vidhi and Bhagavad Vidhi. But because he was focused more on Bhagavad Vidhi, he trained mostly only his close managers and personal servants, be they men or women, in both. He knew his disciples' consciousness, their capacity to absorb his instruction, and he would train them accordingly. Yamuna had absorbed Prabhupada's training and taken it to heart. I can honestly say that I engage in cleaning joyously, she told me. In our ashram in Sharanagati, Canada, we sometimes sing and clean for hours and hours. Our place is very primitive. We have a dirt floor and walls, but we like to clean a lot. We enjoy cleaning for Srila Prabhupada and the deities. So everyone was assigned a task, and every morning we would get together to discuss the previous day's activities and prepare for the festival. Shyam Sundar and Tamal Krishna met with Mr. Bhattar at RMB Event Management and formulated a plan for the grounds. Shyam Sundar is saying, we got a total that's 500 feet long. We have got a total area that's 500 feet long by 400 feet wide. The main tent just here in the center, backing on the north fence, should be huge. Let's make it 250 feet square. How many people will that hold? Okay, so they're planning for the festival, tent and everything. So we'll continue this.
That's where Radhanath Maharaj will come.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
He'll be sitting way in the back, and Prabhupada will ask one of his disciples to come in the front. It's mentioned in his book, Journey Home. It's amazing.
Yeah. And he wanted to touch the feet, and Tamal Krishna said, no, nobody can touch.
Yeah, Prabhupada said, okay, you can touch.
Yeah. Okay, so it's 9 o'clock. We can stop here today.
Thank you, Prabhuji.
Thank you, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.